Hello everyone, and welcome to Act 3 of Bonds Thicker Than Blood. This act contains chapters 40 to 54. This is also the music version, where songs will accompany the reading. If you desire no music, or would rather read the story yourself, all the links will be provided down below in the description. The video is fully subtitled, and the main characters are color-coded as you can see on screen. Lastly, if you enjoy this content, leave a like and subscribe, as the feedback is greatly appreciated. Thank you for tuning in, and without further ado, I hope you enjoy. Chapter 40. Hotaru is awakened by the slight tremors pulsating in the room. She doesn't open her eyes, instead listens to them like a melody. They are far in the distance, faint and constant, like a solemn drum pounding to a heartbeat. The wind across her face, or lack of, is dead and cold. Her eyes spring open and she shoots up. Again she lifts up from a bed, but unlike the kingdom of Isis, where the mattress was soft, suspended by sturdy wooden posts and an air of soothing aroma filling the room, this mattress is flimsy, lopsided, and inches away from the grimy floor, which smelt of mold. The walls, like the floor, is pure cobblestone, condensed like a prison cell. A single steel door awaits at the other end with a peephole at the top. On the ceiling is a steel grate with many holes, allowing the dim moonlight to peer in. Other than the uncomfortable mattress, a wooden table bearing a huge crack down the middle of the surface sits in a corner, along with two chairs showing similar smaller cracks along the legs. However, the chair closest to the mattress has one of its legs held together with thin twine. Then, accompanied by a tremor, a splash of water. Soon it stopped, and a heavy, muffled grunt pierced through the thick wall. A slam just outside shook the door. Hotaru jumps up, staring down the only exit with a magic spell sitting in her hand, as she is unaware of where her weapon has gone. A loud creak emits as the door opens. From the slit of the door, the moisture air fills the room, bringing the temperature even lower, but in return wetting her dry lips. The dim moonlight reflects off the water behind him as the door fully opens. Dragging a large steel chest is a burly man with a rugged but chiseled face. His short black hair is like wild forest grass, unlike his stubbly chin and lips. He adorns a gray tunic with matching trousers, though the tunic has several rips, exposing the toned muscles and chest underneath. He fully brings the heavy box in, his face glistening with sweat. Her heart races at his impressive physique, watching how thick veins pop from his arms as he drags the chest, unbothered by its weight. He looks to her, closing the door. He shoots a quick smile. The way his teeth show is unlike anything she has seen before, as if he was trying to make her laugh. "Finally you wake up," he said, with a pleasant, deep voice. "Here I thought you were dead. But it's good to see you up." She doesn't move or speak. The flame in her hand grows. "You can put that fireball away. I have no intention of hurting you. I found you on the floor and thought sleeping back at my humble abode would be better than the monster-filled plains." She freezes like a statue. She remembers the fall. "That's right," she thought. "Baramos is dead. But who was that monster? What did he do to us?" "I'm guessing you want to know what happened after your victorious fight. After all, that was supposedly the end of your journey. Who are you?" He turns to her, his face offended by the question. "You're messing with me. Who am I? Did you lose your memories when you dropped down here?" He rubs his head, though his face now just looks as confused as hers. "Oh, that may be the reason. Hold a moment." He takes a deep breath, bringing his hands beside his chest, then back to his sides. His blue eyes are peaceful until he flinches back with his hands in the air. "Bah, it's you again!" She jumps back like him. "Robin Hood?" He points to himself with his thumb. "The one and only." He takes a seat on the creaky chair, leaning back with his arms behind his head. The legs bend, barely holding his weight. "Call me Robin, though. That whole alias I only use for the world above." "World above?" "Take a seat, kid. You want to know the truth, right?" She accepts his offer, stepping over to the empty chair. Carefully she plants herself, afraid the chair will give way. "Grandma always told me to be ready for the truth. Is this what she meant?" "I'm not certain what your grandma told you, but hidden underneath your world is mine. Alfgard. The believers of religion say it was once the original world of the goddess, though after she fled to the dark world, an evil creature of darkness snaked his way up to take the throne. Personally, I didn't believe any of that hogwash, but now, those religious folk might be up to something." She recalls the horrifying face on the wall. "Zoma." "That's the one. Ruler of the underworld, he calls himself. Makes you think if he's referring to this place." Her heart feels torn. "I don't understand," she muttered, placing her head on the hard table. "Why would she not tell me?" "Anyway, Zoma is the big bad ruler who runs the place. The monster you fought, Baramos, was only a fraction of the power that Zoma has." "How do you know so much?" she asked, lifting her head, wiping the table's ancient dust off her face. "Everyone here knows the same thing. Baramos was a simple distraction to keep the world above in check. It was Zoma's plan and a reality we all accepted. Except for me. That monster took my daughter away from me. She was only a child. I was not going to sit here and let him get away with tearing my family apart. However, I am a feeble man, a cog in his twisted machine. Step out of line, and I was easily replaceable. That's what I thought until the army from above arrived." She peeks her head up. "Was it my father?" "Couldn't say. I never got involved. But a warm, hopeful light shone down for the first time in my life. A path was made to the land above. I spent the past year learning every weakness Zoma had and robbed what your world calls a chimera wing and was finally free, searching for the 3 relics to reach him." She gasped, yet no words leave her lips. He stands up from the chair and steps over to the chest. It's a steel chest covered with rust. It has no lock, but its lid appears to be welded shut from years of age. However, like how he dragged it in, he brings his fingers underneath the lip and throws it open without a struggle. The steel lid shatters the cobblestone with a large thud. A light shines from out the chest, brightening the room in a gentle gleam. Your grandma was right, though. Baramos' castle was what held the Sunstone. Just wish I didn't have to scrounge through rubble on Zoma's plains to find it. With one hand he brings up a shimmering rock, in the shape of a generic, unrefined ore found in a mine. Its orange hue is much like the nostalgic sun. It radiates a warmth, warding the dead cold air, replacing it with new life. He places it on the table at its center. A somber smile he presents to the stone. Shame it was all for nothing. With the way above closed and 2 more pieces to the puzzle, I'm afraid my journey ends here. You're serious? What about avenging your daughter? My efforts won't bring her back, and I've done a collection of regrettable actions to get this far. Continue down the path, and the man I once was will die along with her. An awkward silence fills the air. However, the tremors give her a hard time from thinking. She worries about her brother, her friends. Even with all the warnings of her peers, once the real fight began, it was already over. But what if they are still fighting? Despite the horrors we saw at Japan, the lives and hopes that were lost. Vidir came back to us and Aziza was with him, alive and well. They even found a way to fight back." She stood from the chair, gazing at the steel door, her eyes furrowed. "I appreciate your help, Robin, but I can't give up now. Not while the people I hold dear are still out there, fighting for a better future." "What makes you certain they are still fighting, or still out there more importantly? You were the only one I found." Despite the horrifying reality of his words, a smile spreads across her face. "I can't even begin to count the amount of times we should have met our end, but we didn't. Call it whatever you want, but we are bound together. They are my family. I won't force you to take a stand. I somewhat understand how you feel. That's why we will go forward and avenge her, and everyone else who lost someone dear." A breath of air escapes his nostrils. A smirk reveals itself. He grabs the sunstone, handing it over to her. She takes it from his hand, and the warmth pulsates like a heartbeat. "The two relics you seek are the Staff of Rain and the Sacred Amulet. You have a good mindset, kid. Never forget that. I will help with what I can." He leads her to the door and opens it to the water outside. "Let me be the first to introduce you to Alfgard." She steps through the door. Outside, the wind is still quiet and not present. Out in the open is a massive lake of dark blue water. The land they stand on is an isle alone in the middle of nowhere, with the next port of land not in sight. However, in the distance, opposite of the full moon, where black clouds form in the sky, is a massive mountain range. That over there is Zoma's castle. From here you can't see it, but it sits there. What's with the black smoke spewing from there? That would be the volcano. It has been active since I could remember. Probably why smoke looms over there. Ignore it for now, though. Heading over by boat is nothing but a cliffside waiting for you. He leads her over to a shoddy raft. It has a pair of roughed-up wooden oars, with a single post at its center with sewn together dirty rags to make a flag. Leaned against the pole is a large potato sack. "Well, this is your new ride. It ain't no Vento Eterno, but it will get you to the other side." The way her eyes shift along each damp plank has her slightly regretting the words she spoke moments ago. Even though they were captured on the merchant ship, with any moment of disobedience rewarded with meeting the end of a saber, it felt more safe. Nevertheless, she hides her true feelings about it away from Robin, as he has this proud smile about his work. "What's the bag full of?" "You will need those. Something we grow here might sound a bit outlandish, but they are called fading jennies." She flinches back. "So this is where they come from." He leans his head. "Huh. Never expected anyone from the land above to know of them. Maria had one. Aziza took it and turned invisible. We used it to infiltrate Adina to fetch a bucket." He scratches his head and whispers, "And here I thought I was the bad guy." He coughs. His eyes beam down at her with authority. "Anyway, it means less explaining on my part. It's important you have a fat stack of those things anytime you travel on foot. Zoma has a full view of his planes, and if he catches anyone strolling about, he summons a bull to take you out. And if that doesn't kill you, the fearsome monsters will. Promise me you load up on these at every opportunity." "I will," she answered like a child listening to their parent. "Good. The closest town from here is Tantagel. Just follow the path of the moon, and it will be a short distance from there. You should be able to see it once you land. Follow the shoreline towards the smoke. Avoid the plains at all cost." "Okay. Thanks for your help." As she steps onto the wobbly raft, she can't decide which version of him is worse. Recalling all the times they encountered each other, he always did seem to be around like an overprotective parent. Maybe even with an added life of crime, you still hold on to such traits. Honestly, without him in the picture, a small part of this journey is lost. She frowns as she paddles the raft away from the isle. Chapter 41. With each sloppy paddle, the opaque water ripples softly, reflecting the peaceful moonlight. However, the endless sailing is far from calming as the tremors grow heavier by the minute. What could be causing such chaos? Hotaru thought. So many questions are building in her mind, yet not an answer or clues lie near. Nothing does. When her friends were at her side, they would ponder together. Most of the time, nothing much came out of it except a "we will be fine" from Isamu. Fedir would say something along the same lines, yet somehow they always managed to argue amongst each other. At least in those times there was a laugh at the end, but with the past few weeks, things have changed. No longer was the journey full of joy and wonder. Instead, it's fear of the unknown. The shoreline comes into view, and she carefully opens the bag. She takes out one fading jenny and tears into it like a desperate animal would, quick to avoid lingering in a dangerous land. The taste is foul, like eating the crust of the earth. She winces, smacking her tongue against her lips. She wonders for a moment of how Aziza had no reaction to the taste. She stretches her arms out to wipe her mouth. She gasps, looking forward, finding nothing. When she lifts the heavy bag, it appears to be floating on its own, causing her to catch her breath at the uncanny feeling of existing and interacting with the world around her, like a children's story ghost. The raft slides up the dark sand of the shoreline, and she departs from it, hooking it to the shore with a makeshift spike Robin attached to the side of the flimsy planks. Though not firm, she has to hurry as the tremors violently shake the ground. She peeks up to where the wide, vast plains stretch out, far beyond the horizon, and there it stands, the answer to the chaos. A lion-like monster, tall as a castle, coated in dark green fur, stomps along the empty plains. It's a fearsome beast walking on 6 legs, large paws that crush any foliage remaining in its path, with a black mane and sharp silver teeth. Its torso belongs to a lion, with the top of its back supporting dark green dragon wings with thick purple webbing. A slender, scaly tail that hisses in the night with a snake's head at the end, belting around the air, cracking the air with a thunderous boom like a whip. But its huge size makes it appear to be moving slowly. The lion's face is oddly human as it peeks around, expressing a malicious smile, scanning its glowing yellow eyes like spotlights, revealing a shine of light to where it is looking. Several times it has passed by Hotaru. Now Robin's warning makes sense, she reflected, fearful of carrying the bag as she walked. Yet the monster of the plains doesn't seem to care as she leaves the raft behind, closely following his instructions. However, as she walks, something doesn't feel right, like something is watching her. Despite the large monster patrolling the field, hidden in the small shrubs are glimmers of blue and orange drops. She puffs, covering her mouth with haste as their teardrop appearance is recognizable. They are slimes, yet they are different. Slimes are known in Alihan to be more of a nuisance than anything, usually pulling gaffs as they have innocent eyes, but a goofy smile. However, these slimes are afraid. Their body shivers, huddling together into a giant mass, their eyes weeping and mouths quivering with each stomp that approaches, looking at her as if to cry for help. Sadly, there is nothing she can do. Persisting upon the plains is foolish as is, with only the faith of a vegetable protecting her. Despite being different, she feels their pain, but she has to push forward, simply pressing on with hopes a simple prayer is enough to guide them. Each step forward, her title of hero stings with betrayal like an aching bruise. The creatures of Alihan were never monsters. Zoma's creations were. Ahead, below the cloud of looming smoke, is a destroyed castle in the distance, a sight which has grown familiar. She marches ahead, avoiding to look at the direction of the beast. Then a small village appears, though it doesn't look any better, its surrounding air covered in a red hue, like walking into a nightmare. The houses are beat up and covered in dirt and volcanic ash, enveloped by an overwhelming smell of sulfur. She gets closer, and not many people roam, and the few that do are large people, covered fully in armor, dusting off the streets. She passes one who is unaware of her presence, peering into the opening of his rusty helmet. Underneath, he is sweating profusely because of the sweltering heat produced by the nearby volcano. His mouth and nose are covered by a thick mask, and his dead, soulless eyes, strangely, look straight into hers. "Can you step out of my way?" he asked, with a dead gruff. She flinches back, nearly screaming. "You can see me?" He doesn't answer, but simply points behind her. As she turns, a trail of footsteps in the ash, like snow, tail behind her. "It also doesn't help that I can smell the fading Jenny off your breath. I'm sorry. I was just curious." He shakes his head, resuming his work. "Where is everyone?" He answers, scraping the dirt off the stones. "Off in their homes. Anyone smart enough knows once we come out, then all facilities must be closed. That includes aimless wanderers. I was hoping to ask a couple of questions. You came to the wrong guy. I'm an ash scraper, not a tour guide. If you want to play detective, visit the church and hope your prayers get answered." He pushes up the road, continuing his work. Soon the fading Jenny wears off and she panics. The tremors still remain and the monster still strolls around in a methodic pattern as if being commanded. The village is small, so the church isn't hard to find, as it has a broken cross atop its large doorway. She shoves through in a hurry, hoping for safety behind its walls, though the men outside don't seem to care of whatever outcome arrives. The walls are decorated with candles which dimly light the room. Only a few people sit at the stained, broken pews, praying up to the decrepit, headless goddess statue. She steps forward. Her footsteps echo in the hollow halls. What was once a place of peace felt uncanny. The dim lights casted black, creepy shadows across the room. The smell was a combination of wax and ash. Even the priest who stood at the podium looked lifeless, hanging up like a pinned corpse. His eyes scroll through her, and she freezes. His eyes are dead and covered in gunk. His lips are dried and cracked. His priest's coat, which Fedir kept in pristine condition to honor the goddess, was covered in soot. The silence of the empty halls broke as his monotone voice echoed. "I haven't seen you in town before. Either you are a wanderer of the plains, or have lost all hope, and prey upon the goddess as a last resort. No matter the choice or reason, it's too late." Makes sense why Robin chose the answer he did. Everyone has lost hope. She stands tall, drawing forth the bravery she once had, remembering why she continues to fight. "I'm looking for 3 other people. We came from the land above." The soft mumbles of the people come to a silence, their eyes focused on her. A small glimmer of hope rests in them. "You understand that lying is a sin," he replied, unmoved by her words. "I'm not lying. We defeated Baramos and our next target is Zoma." A haunting gasp escapes the audience. He whips his hands across his face. "Are you mad? Do not speak of such actions. Zoma will have us killed if we transpire with such heinous speech. You don't need to join. All I seek are my friends and the 2 other relics, the Staff of Rain and the Sacred Amulet." She reaches into her pocket, extracting the sunstone, revealing its warm and gentle light in the church. Murmurs flood the room. The melting pot of people stir with emotion. "By the goddess, how did you claim such a relic? It was said to be lost in the land." His voice trails off. He wipes his face and lowers his eyes. It seems I have judged you too harshly. Forgive my impudence." She pockets the sunstone, its warmth radiating her body. "You seek the other 2 relics. However, I'm afraid this Staff of Rain I am unaware of. The sacred amulet, however, is in resemblance to her heart, said to be held close to her bosom. Likely, the relic resides in the place closest to her bountiful love. The sacred amulet wasn't the only item of her belongings, for she had 2 more. The Sword of Kings and the Hero's Shield. Adorning all 3 sacred relics, she flew off into the dark world on the white phoenix Ramia to bring light to the world above. Once her mission had succeeded, she ascended to godhood. For centuries, her relics were nowhere to be found. He finishes his story with a fiery passion in his eyes. No longer was the walking dead of a priest standing before her, but a man truly devoted to his belief. Such joy in his voice is similar to how Fedir would speak such high praises of her and her accomplishments. It's hard not to smile at his joy, though most of his words fly over her head. However, that is only how the scriptures end. The Sword of Kings and the Hero's Shield I know to be real. Tantagel Castle once held them in days of old. As for the amulet, perhaps Galen may know of its existence. Who's Galen? He is an astute man, passionate about relics of the world. They say in times of peace, he wandered the land gathering all sorts of treasures to his home. Unfortunately, it's been a fair while since he has come into town. Do you know where he is? He's a bit of a hermit, living alone in the mountains, northwest of the plains. Finally, things were looking up. You have been a great help, but I must hurry. I have people who are waiting for my return. Hold a moment, he said, reaching beneath the podium to withdraw a steel sword. It has heavy stains and looks ready to break at any instant. Take this sword with you. Weapons are hard to come by in this era. You should remain hidden at all times when on Zoma's plains, but you can use this as a last line of defense. She takes the sword, holding close to her eyes, seeing the murky reflection of her dirty face before sheathing it into her scabbard. An ominous bell tolls in the distance. The people of the church hush amongst themselves, their eyes filled with dread. The tremors grow heavy. What's going on? Hotaru spat, peeking to the door of the church, waiting for something to barge in. The priest takes a deep breath. It's the Franticor. Zoma must be aware of the actions that took place. You must escape the town now. You are our only hope. The tremors continue to grow. A loud hiss erupts their ears. A bellowing growl shakes their core. Unstable candles fall to the ground, diminishing its weak flames with each shaking step, leaving them in the darkness. I know it isn't much, he said, forcing a smile, but I also want to thank you. I'm afraid many people have lost faith in our world, but you have shown me a new light. May your path forward be a victorious one. Now hurry. Chapter 42. The door to the church cracks open, creaking loudly in the endless night. Hotaru peeks her head out. A yellow beam of light catches her, and a demonic growl follows. Mere inches away is the Franticor, its large face lowering to the door of the church, its breath reeking of death, teeth covered in thick, dripping saliva. Thankfully, because of the fading Jenny, it doesn't notice her. Slowly turning away from the church, it stomps away with heavy steps, shaking the town, knocking ancient soot from the ceiling of the church to the pews. A scream emerges from the outside. An armored man makes a run for the nearest building. He's caught by the yellow spotlight, its gaze quickly turning into a blood red. He tries to run out of its sight, but from below, the dirt and ash turn into chunky mud. Multiple hands rise up, trapping him in place by his legs. He swats at the never-ending pool of emerging hands, screaming for help as they grip tightly to his swinging arm. A heavy roar pierces the sky. A blistering fire shoots from the mouth of the beast, incinerating the helpless man, silencing his crying weeps into ash. The Franticor is an unholy beast as its roars rip through the sky. Its massive size casts a shadow upon the town as it turns, hunting for its next prey. Compared to Orochi, it is twice as big, and its fire far more devastating. But it doesn't seem to be alone. What were those hands? Hotaru scrambled, staying behind the door, occasionally peeking. Is that part of its power, or was it something else? Did Grandma know of this? Was this her warning? The beast locks eyes with a decrepit inn, its walls peeling with age. It raises its paw over the building. A scream erupts from the opposite side. One of the men who swept the streets yells at the beast. If it's blood you want, then take mine. Leave my family out of this. Crying to the beast in an attempt to stop seems like nonsense, but it works. Like a sentient being able to understand human speech, it lowers its paw away from the inn. The snake at its tail hisses towards the man, and Hotaru hopelessly watches from the safety of the church. Yet she couldn't wait. Another chance may never show itself. The Franticor turns to the man, opposite from the church. Now was her only chance. She ran out of town as fast as she could, too afraid to look back to see if the echoing stomps were following her. Her arms are revealed. The final of her fading jennies has been used. She has traveled for several minutes to the north where the moon lies. The tremors are gone, and no longer was she in a vast open plain, instead a hilly forest. She catches her breath, leaning against a sturdy tree. The forest has leaves and trees coated in black with minimal light in view. The long branches at the top of the trees hide the moon, and the paths in either direction are in complete darkness. Light shuffles as the shrubs ripple through the air, with an occasional coo from an owl breaking the silence. Her bare skin grazes the tree, the bark cold like ice. The quiet comes briefly, and a voice echoes in the distance. The voice is elderly, coming from deeper in the forest. Who could be out here? It didn't make sense. It had to be an illusion, though such magic was unfamiliar to her. At least Vidir never spoke of such magic. She took her damaged sword, pressing forward into the darkness. The voice was mumbling about something, unaware of her presence. My eyes ain't what they used to be. I can't tell which mushroom is which. Last thing I want is to experience that again. Hotaru steps on a branch and it loudly snaps. Seems I'm not the only one here this time. He spins around and Hotaru hides behind a nearby tree. He is a short, frail, elderly man in tattered robes. At his side is a satchel full of plants, mushrooms, and vegetables, nearly falling out from the top. His gray hair is wild, with a few bald spots revealing faint birthmarks on his head. In his gloved hand is a large, strange brown mushroom that has a cap in the shape of a fist. He places the mushroom in his bag with haste. Come on out now. I just finished up my gathering and I'm headed back home. Got a nice cot you can use. He looks around one more time, doing a full spin. All right then. More for me, I guess. Wait, Hotaru replied, jumping from behind the tree. I knew my offer couldn't be passed up. His smile is big and confident. Can't say you look incapable, though. From the way you're staring, I might be incorrect. She doesn't respond, afraid she has made a terrible mistake. Either he was unaware of the chaos nearby, or has completely lost it. Now you're pondering. I know you saw the Franticor up close. She flinches. I knew it. Everyone's first time seeing that thing results in the same reaction. Well, you can rest easy. We are too far beyond that creature's reach. You know what that thing is? Walk with me. Just because that thing can't get us doesn't mean the other woodland creatures will let us talk in peace. And the last thing you want is to be sprayed by that terrible gas from those sentient mushrooms. Once you're done throwing up, it's not good riddance. It's see you next time. He steps through the darkness with Hotaru following. From the look on his face, he seems to know where he is going, and despite his own warning, he doesn't bother to lower his voice. So tell me, kid, what was it you saw? I went to Tantagel and was looking to find my friends, but it attacked the town. I only got away because a guy... Her voice trails off. The demonic eyes of the beast and haunting screams fill her mind. He notices the worry on her face and speaks. Yep, once caught in that thing's sight, especially once it turns red, you're dead meat. Those murky hands will hold you down as you char like a skewer of meat on a spit roast. Anyway, best avoid that thing if you value your life. What about Tantagel? It was in town. Probably destroyed by now. It was soon to happen, though I never expected Zoma to send his guard dog to attack a town unless for a specific reason. She hesitates on her next sentence. The priest said Zoma heard our conversation. I was looking for the relics to stop Zoma. They paid with their lives for the information I got. So you were the one who fell from the sky. You saw that? Hotaru blurted, surprised by his correct assumption again. Most did. It happened a few days ago. Briefly light shone in, but it was just that. Briefly. Then that makes you the one who defeated Baramos. Yes, my friends and I set out to bring peace, but now I don't know where any of them are. I can't defeat Zoma without them. She stops, covering her mouth. What if Zoma hears this? I can't bring any more destruction to people. He laughs, unconcerned by the swarming danger at every corner. No point in hiding your true feelings around me. Zoma doesn't scare me. He's just an ordinary monster playing the role of God. Plus, you can't bring fear to someone who has lost everything and craves death. Other people hold out hope that the goddess will save us, but it's too late now. I mean, why else in the stories would she travel to a new world? Regardless, in the face of despair, people will cling on to any fate to save them. It's the way we've always been. It also doesn't help that people believe that being a good soul will bring you to the land away from this misery. So, what do people do? Play the nice guy for their own personal agenda. Being a good guy shouldn't result in personal gain. It's a selfless act, not a selfish one. He takes a moment to catch his breath. Forgive the ramblings of an old man. Been a while since I spoke my mind, and I've been kinda holding that thought in my mind for too long. As thanks for letting the old man speak, I have good news for you. I'm a collector of sorts, gathering artifacts from ancient times. So you came to the right place. You're Galen, then. The man the priest was talking about. Well, not the Galen. That fellow was a wandering minstrel of about a century ago. My parents named me after the guy as he was somewhat an inspiration to Alfgard, a hero who fought against Zoma's forces to defend a town of fairies. He shakes his head like a shaggy dog covered in water. Sorry about the stories. You must be sick of them already. Now then, what were the relics you seek? I might have some leads as thanks for your listening ear. She looks at the jolly man. A beaming smile spreads across his face and his weathered boots skipping along the tall grass. From the way he speaks, he isn't much different from the others, but his demeanor lacks any care for the world. What a strange old man, yet free from the shackles Zoma holds over people. From what I know, I need 4 relics. The Sword of Kings, the Hero Shield, the Staff of Rain, and the Sacred Amulet. Ah, the 4 relics of the goddess. Well, some good and bad news. The Sword of Kings and the Hero Shields are of no such thing. They have never been found. Probably because the goddess using man-made weapons is honestly absurd. However, they can be made, as old research papers and blueprints were found in the ruins of Castle Tantagel. Both the sword and shield require a legendary material called orichalcum. I will have to check my storage to see if I got any, though you will have to find a damn good smith to forge it. As for the sacred amulet, my speculation would mostly result in its location being in Rubus Tower, maybe the same for the staff as well. What kind of name is Rubus Tower? You don't know? He shouted. That's the name of the goddess. The goddess has a name? Why would Fidir never tell me? Of course the goddess has a name. Most people don't call her Rubus because of their faith and how it would be considered rude. It's like calling your mom by her first name. Skipping past that, her tower lays somewhere in the ocean. It was the first praying grounds to worship her, and most speculate it was where the belief was founded. The forest opens up to a hillside, covered in thin dark grass and a bleak blue ocean behind, traveling far beyond the horizon. The peaceful moonlight grants little light reflecting on the water like a beautiful painting. The ocean breeze is soft and gentle. A slight scent of salt encapsulates the small hill. One hill at the center has a reinforced wooden cabin. Finally, we're home. I swear that path gets longer every time I go out. Once inside, I will treat you to a warm meal. The food is lovely. It has an aromatic scent of veggies, nostalgic of the recent past, reminiscent of home. Its gentle warmth, like the sunstone, soothes the body, and the warm bowl heats up her hands, even when the food is done. However, she is not alone. Half a dozen people also sit around the fire, quietly eating. Most are stained with soot, their hollow faces lacking nutrition. They pay her no mind, their faces and scrawny arms shaking with fear. Surrounding the tame fire where the pot sits are dirty cots, laid grounded along the corners of the small, dimly lit room. Other than that, it is entirely empty. No windows, and only 2 doors at opposite ends. A small child holding an empty bowl steps to the fire, staring deeply at the sizzling pot, his eyes brimming with tears, his weak little hands shaking. "Let me help you," Hotaru calmly said, like a patient mother, standing to her feet. The kid looks at her, frightened and frozen. She carefully gestures to the boy to hand over his empty bowl, which he does. She removes the steel lid from the pot. An overwhelming smell of delicious stew swarms her like a heavy fog, her stomach begging for another bowl. However, what is left is barely a ladleful. She looks at him with a warm smile. "Here you go. Looks like there's just enough for you," she said, pouring the remainder into his bowl, a peek of his smile revealing itself as he grabs the bowl from her. "It's the least I can do." The back door of the cabin cracks open and Galen sticks his head in. "Come on, kid. I got something to show you." She heeds his call, standing up and making her way to the door, saddened eyes shifting upon her as if she was escaping a prison cell. She walks out of the door to the outside and he closes it. "I got a shed near here. Figured having a good sword arm nearby would help fend any monsters who try to get lucky." He steps forward with her following, her eyes slightly turned to the cabin. "How long have they been there?" "A few months, give or take. Well, not all of them. The place has been starting to get crowded as of late. People are losing their homes, and I'm sure that the people of Tantajo will make their way here soon enough. Shame I don't have necessary equipment to support a soup kitchen. I have to stop Zoma, but I can't do it alone. Please be safe, everyone," she prayed silently. "Thankfully, the trip here ain't nowhere near as bad as the forest," he announced, pointing to a worn shed in the middle of nowhere. They see the small shed, sitting alone on the grass, undisturbed by the quiet nature. Finally, a moment of peace. An instant where she doesn't need to ponder her next move, worrying of the what-ifs. Yet this peace she desperately wants to cling on to isn't long. He soon reaches the door and takes a key from his emptied satchel. From the look of the busted door, it appears a good kick would probably be more effective, but she waits for him to finish fidgeting with the lock. After a while of fumbling, it cracks open and the rusty chain falls to the side. The shed opens and he steps in, lighting a lantern at his side. The shed is mostly empty with few boxes against the wall. He's a collector, yet barely has anything to his name. However, upon further inspection, the walls have unusual dirt patterns, like a few paintings that were recently removed. Her mind clicks and she looks to him. "Is that how you've been feeding these people?" "It's just the way things are nowadays. Nothing holds value unless it can be sold for profit." He shuffles through a box, pulling out several odd trinkets. Some are rusted weapons, while others are ancient toys or illegible papers. "Must have sold it," he muttered. "Sorry, kid. Looks like I don't have that orichalcum on hand anymore. Or I guess maybe I never had it." "You needn't apologize. You treated me to a warm meal. You have helped me plenty." While lost in thought of her next course of action, she peeks her head over to the wall to find something shining in the darkness. Sitting against the wall is a bright pink lyre. Despite the dust atop it, its color is bright and the strings are in pristine condition. "What is that?" Hotaru asked. He catches her eyes staring at the lyre as he turns around. "Oh, that?" He steps over, picking it up to his chest. "This thing is known as the Lyre of Ire. It belonged to Galen himself. It had a special power to it long ago, but in these times it's a piece of junk. He would do something like this." He holds the instrument in the proper form. His eyes are closed and gently he strums his fingers across the strings. A beautiful melody plays and she is left in shock, her mouth agape. The notes, bold and black like off a sheet of paper, are flying off the strings, gliding out the door. He stops and the notes disappear. "What's got you shocked, kid? Didn't take me for a maestro. This is just a start. I got more neat things here if you want to see." "The notes you played. They flew out of the lyre." He chokes on his breath. "Don't mess with me, kid. You're gonna give me a heart attack." "I'm serious. Play it again." As if she was a conductor, he does as she commands, playing the sound once more. His eyes are ready, looking strongly at the strings. Just like before, the various notes appearing, flying gently out the door, like a flock of birds migrating to a different land. "I don't believe it," he muttered, stopping the music. "But Zoma should have wiped them out. It doesn't make sense. What does that mean?" "The notes were flying south," he replied. "Galen used it to find the fairy village during his time. But if it works, that would mean..." "Means what?" "A fairy roams the land." Chapter 43. "Did you hear that? That melody," Fedir thought. "I know it, but why? What is it?" "Oh, graceful one," a scratchy, elderly voice sounds. "Please, don't refer to me as that. Call me Fedir." Soft steps approach on the ground, soon followed by a woman's voice. It is gentle, sweet, alluring. "Face it, graceful one. You have aided the people of Damdara in a way no one else could. Your touch has brought life back to the destroyed soil as well as purified the water we drink. However, your powers are far beyond that of physical. So go on. You heard something?" He shifts his body towards the beautiful voice. His bare feet graze the soft grass. The youthful and healthy scent calms his nerves. However, the air is cold and dry, but despite the temperature, several people are chatting. Children are playing and laughing. It has grown joyous since his arrival. It's hazy and hard to tell what is real or fake when having to rely on the other senses. He recalls the sensation of falling, but not the land. At one point the land was arid, devoid of life, filled with a sense of dread, the auras around said. Then slowly it grew to something habitable. From what the people say, it is a magic touch he has. Yet how long did it take? Fedir never felt the sun's warmth, constantly wondering how to understand the passage of time, having only people's words to believe. He hasn't grown used to his impairment, probably never will. It was a part of him he never realized how much he depended on. In exchange, he gained something people may consider great, the power to sense emotions. However, he misses the joy or aid he brought people, and the beautiful reward of seeing his work successful. In fact, he feels he lost more as the faces of the people he holds close are fading. His memory, failing him at keeping a picture to the voices that kept him pushing through the impossible. It sounded like a melody, something of a stringed instrument. Fidir said, trying to remember the tune. It was a hopeful song, as if telling of one's appearance. A call. It was brief, but it came... He shifts his body slightly, pointing his fingers straight ahead to the calling sound. There. A melody from the north, the woman muttered, softly humming. It doesn't make sense for a melody to be playing in Zoma's plains. If it's true, he mostly struck them by now, even with the fading Jenny active. Any normal person knows doing that is certain death. Fidir chuckles. I have to say, it's nice for a change to have people believe in my words without much convincing. A good friend of mine was always arguing against my thoughts. He brings his outward hand back to his chest, quieting his voice, though I now can understand a lot of his reasons. Isamu's words ring in his head. If only you could see the destruction around you, the tears they cry, the horrors of the remains of their loved ones, right before them. Where was your goddess during all of this? His brutal words weighed heavy on him. They were blunt and offensive against his belief, but he could not bring himself to hate him. They hurt because they were right. The goddess is our mother, and we are her children. But why treat family as such? What is the purpose in all this chaos? Nonsense, graceful one. Such a man has no right to speak to you with such a tone. It's absurd how... The elderly voice rang. Please don't bash my friend when he's not here to defend himself. Him and I are simply opposites of the same coin. Do you think it was your friend calling you? She asked. The hesitation in her voice seems to be filled with worry. I don't think Isamu has much skill with instruments. He's more of an active person when it comes to hobbies. Either way, I think we should search for the sound. It could be someone who needs our help. Slow down, Fidir. A smooth, delicate hand wraps around his wrist. A faint smell of perfume emits from it. I know playing a guardian angel is fitting of your belief, but risking our necks for people will draw Zoma's attention. Once he finds our village, we are done for. Then I will go alone. Listen to me. It has been a week since you have fallen out of the sky. Your body still needs rest. My body isn't going to get any better. I've come to accept that. You have given so much to me. A place to stay, countless treatments, the helmet you wear, she adds. He lifts his hand from hers, brushing it onto the large headgear. It's made of steel with complete coverage of his face except the mouth. He feels his long flowing warm hair, which barely sneaks out from the back of the helmet. He brings his hand to his mouth, and though it is still patchy, it has recovered nicely, though unable to feel his nose is a bit unsettling. Yes, this too. Just like us, people are fighting for a future, for their families. If I have this power, then it is my duty to use it. A quiet chuckle leaves her lips. And that is why I call you graceful. I will come along. No use in sitting around. We have a village to rebuild. Plus, I gotta keep an eye on my innocent little angel. Don't want any corruption seeking into your pure soul. Thank you, Lena. Fidir lifts above the plentiful sand, grains falling off his feet as he hovers. The sand is freezing and the air is silent. The sounds behind him are a couple sets of heavy footsteps in clanky armor. Their breath is unsteady, yet one is normal. The footsteps approaching his side are soft, and an intoxicating fragrance drawing his attention to it. Lead the way, Lena's soft, suggesting voice said. North is a little vague for my liking. Can you sense anything else? He concentrates. In his mind, he can sense Lena's aura. It is hot pink, fun and exciting, strobing with pretty various shades, like how a moth sees a flame. Two others behind him are more dim, quiet, as if not to awaken what lurks nearby. Something hefty is faint in the distance. His voice echoed in his mind. Something big lies far ahead. Its stomps are not human. What you're sensing is most likely the monster of Zoma's plains. Best keep away from there. These duds cover a lot of my skin, but I don't think it's enough to protect against anything it may throw at us. and I doubt it will fall for my dazzling charms once the armor is stripped. An ear-piercing crack shatters the sound barrier. He flinches to the abrupt sound. A whip? Fedir's heart told him. A devious laugh soon follows out of her. Anything else, however, is fair game. Why choose that of all weapons? He asked, as he moved forward, her voice responding slightly behind him to his side. It's what I'm most comfortable with, she answered, a sound of clicking steel against a nail. Unfortunately, Fedir lost his staff during the fall. Since he landed, he couldn't find it anywhere. It could have potentially been near or across the world. With no source of energy in the item, it was impossible to find. Nevertheless, it was no longer necessary. Since awakening his power, he was not limited to the weapon he held to produce magic. Like Hotaru, he could rely on his blood. However, he did carry one thing which came from the land above, the prayer ring. Aziza handed it to him so long ago, telling him it contains magic in the gemstone, and she is right. In a pocket in his coat, he can sense a small amount of magic pulsating near his chest. It isn't enough to restore his energy to normal levels, but a time may come when in a pinch. Fedir turns his attention back to the sound of Lena's whip. Did you fight monsters often? Monsters? Never thought of them like that. I guess that makes me a beast tamer of sorts. Beast tamer? An audible gulp sounds behind him. The souls behind her dimming even lower as if to hide something. What are you exactly? Then I was a girl with a big dream and bigger audience. Now I'm just a simple village maiden, wishing for a normal life. Perhaps a young man can one day... Her alluring voice turns to a whisper. Sweep me off my feet. I honestly believe peace coming to Alfgard is more likely, Fedir replied with a smirk spreading across his face. You're no fun to tease anymore, she pouted. I miss the old you, when you would be at a loss of words. It made you so cute. You should be more happy at the fact. It means our bond has gotten closer. You have become very dear to me. You're after my heart with lines like that. He stops. Something is heard in the distance. The fun, playful aura Lena represents is now red, flaring warnings of danger. Her voice shifts, speaking like a commanding officer. Do you sense something? It's faint, but I hear something. Groans. Several of them. He concentrates, honing in on the sound. It is ghastly, familiar. Dim, dark aura is in the distance, but it's not all. A blue light, filled with courage and fight, slowly getting swarmed. It can't be. I know who that is. Someone's getting attacked. Undead are swarming them. We must move. He darts towards the sound. Footsteps behind him slowly fading with the grunts getting louder. Their groans are haunting. A smell of rot closes in. The grass beneath his feet thicken. The air is moist. Water is near. No longer was Damdara close. The individual light heavily breathes. The scent is musty, yet burning. Quickly the light gets snuffed. He is left with no other option. An intense heat, like an open flame, flows through him. He sticks his arms forward. The heat concentrates within his hands. Gunpowder covers his senses. Kaboom! He shouted, the blistering heat escaping his body. A shattering explosion erupts in the air. The groans drown in the loud blast. The darkness fading, and the blue dim light shines once more, bouncing around like an insect being pushed around by high winds. The quiet atmosphere is warm, and the blue light thankfully remains. He catches his breath, worried his hasty action would go sour. Footsteps follow behind him. Lena's serious voice breaks the silence. It was foolish of you to leave us behind. This is what I meant when I said slow down. A sigh, like a puff of air, escapes her. You put her in a lot of danger. Nevertheless, it looks like the girl is safe, she shouted. Forgive my friend here. Are you injured? The gentle pink aura returns, uniting with the dim blue. The blue light is pulsating like an electrical current with each gasp of air. Its scent is burnt. "Who are you?" the young woman asked. Her voice is blunt like a hammer. It has no sweetness like Lena, but it is soft-spoken, but filled with worry. However, above all, it is familiar. A voice he hasn't heard in so long. It was hard for him to believe it may be her who stands before him. "Hotaru?" he called. A pause fills the air. The blue light brightens. "Fedir, is that really you?" Hasty footsteps push aside the tall grass, making a beeline straight toward him. "That green hair! It really is you!" She tackles into him, her arms wrapped around him like a tough twine. Her breaths are racing, her arms shaking as she holds him. He places his hand onto her frizzy hair. Light static tingles his fingers. "You must have been the one to play the song. The moment I heard it, I came as fast as I could. I'm glad I made it in time. I never would have thought that lyre would bring me to you, but once Galen explained what a fairy was, I knew it was you, though I didn't know that was what happened to you." His mind comes to a pause. Galen, I know that name. Her breathing declines. Her voice drowns. Her grasp around him weakens. Fedir attempts to hold her up, but quickly she lightens. Seems the poor girl has been through a lot. Will she be okay? He worried. The blue light was gone. Her touch was cold. Now more than ever, he begged the goddess for a glimpse. A nice hot meal and a good rest will have her up in no time. Like a switch, her abrupt shout scares him. "Hey, you two! Make yourselves useful and help us out here. We have a long way back to Damdara and I don't want us to get caught in an ambush." Chapter 44. Fedir is lost in his mind, wondering of the recent event. No more people are talking. The sound has grown peaceful. It is chilly, but not unreasonable as it was several nights ago, at least from what he heard. Still, it was hard to believe he was in the land of the goddess, where the sun has disappeared for centuries. He leans down, caressing the healthy grass beneath him. With his warm touch, he feels the grass pulsing with new life. The vibrations feel like they are thanking him for a second chance. A slight char disturbs the air. "Are you all right, Fedir?" Hotaru's soft voice echoes in the distance. He turns to the sound. The blue spark from before radiates a calming light. "You should head back inside. A full day hasn't even passed." He was worried. From the way her aura flickers inconsistently, she is still injured. Even with enhanced healing magic, she still needs rest. Fedir has learned the lesson only a few days before, and yet he doesn't force her. Lena is the same way with him, and with how much has happened, laying in bed seems like a waste of time. "I will be fine. I ate with everyone in the mess hall, and I couldn't bring myself to sleep." She pauses briefly. Her steps close in next to him. "So you were the one who did this. You practically turned the desert into a grassland, though some parts are still sandy. Even the water here." A subtle splash ripples near the front of him. "It's pure. I've never seen water so clear. I didn't mean to do it. I guess it was something I gained from being a fairy. Perhaps that is why the fairy forest is flowing with life. Was my home the same? I wish I could remember more. A fairy is what you are then. I guess that explains the green hair. Still, I never expected it to be true. Maybe you don't know, but why was it until our fight with Orochi to unleash this form?" "You're right. I don't know," he mumbled. "Something just called out to me at that moment. But these feelings aren't new. It's like I always had it." His mind races. "Galen. You said you spoke with a man named Galen." "Yes. Without his help, I never would have found you. What is he like?" "Honestly, I don't think you would like him much. He is a carefree soul who is against the teachings of the goddess. However, he is a good person. He's a collector of ancient relics. He found you through the use of something called the Lyre of Ire. From what he says, the real Galen used it to find fairies." "I see. How could Galen be my father? If that's true, how did I make it to the world above? How long ago was the event of Zoma's reign? How old am I? Why did you want to know? Hotaru calmly asked, knocking him out of his head. I was hoping when we had the chance, I could thank him for keeping you safe. Should have expected something like that from you. Yet I have a feeling something else is on your mind. What makes you say that? Not often are you hesitant in your replies. I won't pry though. We have been through a lot and don't know the answers to anything. I thought we had everything under control, an idea of how things would go. But I was wrong. I really did take Grandma's words for granted. Truthfully, I'm scared. I don't know where we are, the rules of this world. None of it makes sense, but I'm glad to have you back. Even if physically a lot has changed, you are still Fedir, and I want to apologize for leaving you to venture on your own. It must have been frightening. He ponders for a moment. That moment felt like years ago. You mean back at Japan? Yes, the way we treated you was harsh. I don't remember you treating me poorly. In fact, I would have never gotten the idea to find the Yggdrasil leaf without showing me Aziza's condition. But I didn't bother stopping Isamu. What he said was hurtful. I want to believe he didn't mean those things. He was speaking out of frustration. I don't want to lose you two over it. You don't need to defend him. If he wishes to apologize for his words, then he will. And don't worry, I don't hate him. We've been through too much for that. He's a good friend. I have already forgiven him, not for justice, but for my peace. Like you said, a lot has changed and things are different. I'm sure he has too. An alluring smell of roses closes in. Graceful steps comb through the grass as someone approaches. Did I disturb your romantic outing? Fedir spins to the enticing sound. Like soft music, singing in a calming rhythm. Hotaru is left in silence, though her nervousness radiates violently. You look beautiful, she finally said. Thanks, sweetheart, but I'm used to it. A shame our little angel boy can't witness my lustrous charm, she teases, her breath smelling of mint. Her captivating aura has dimmed, yet still is a bright, grasping pink. Did you need something from me, Lena? Not this time. Most of the injured are resting up for the night. I just figured I couldn't find this little one anywhere. Makes sense for her to wander out to find her savior. Hotaru chuckles. Her aura has calmed down. I couldn't sleep. Sorry for not letting you know. Ease yourself, little one. I ain't your mom. You can do what you want. Oh, Hotaru chirped. I learned a few things on how to reach Zoma. I met with Robin and he told me of 3 relics. So Robin came from this world, Fedir interjected. I'm guessing the Sunstone is one of them. A sound of shuffling is near and a gentle warmth pulsates. Fedir reaches his arm, carefully given a warm rock that fits nicely in his fist. Baramos had it in his castle. The other 2 are the Staff of Rain and the Sacred Amulet, Lena blurted in a serious tone. Her aura switches like a light from a drawing pink to a passionate red. How do you know? You live here long enough and you pick up these sort of things. Sadly, I don't know much about them other than their name, but that's not all. You need the goddess's weapons to actually fight Zoma, right? That's what Galen said. However, they never existed from his findings. They must be made with orichalcum. Never thought I would hear that name again. She stops, and the sound of her nails click onto something. Here, little one. This is for you, then. Consider it a special delivery. Hotaru grunts. Something heavy collides with her palms. How did you get this? A rich guest at my old show. Cute thing. He handed me this as a gift, saying it was the most valuable metal in the world. Unfortunately, most didn't know what it was. Hence, I was never able to pawn the hunk of metal. But he insisted on its name being orichalcum. Guessing that you need the relic and plan to stop Zoma, that must make you daughter of Ortega. You know my father? Fedir's mind clicks like a puzzle piece being set in place. The full picture, or rather words, start to add up. Her name is one he has heard, a famous one. Wait a minute. You are the #1 dancer of Asham. Fedir butts in. pointing his finger toward her strobing, beautiful aura. She giggles softly. Looks like you found me out. Yes, I was known as the most beautiful woman in the world, one to rival Queen Isis herself. But then how did you meet my father? I refuse to believe he left town to see your performances. If so, I swear. Unfortunately not. Your father's army was in need of recruits. However, little old me was far from a ruthless warrior. Instead, I was able to assist the army with morale. The day came to advance on Baramos' castle, which was successful. However, we didn't know of the things that would later entail. Nevertheless, he marched on, and we made ourselves a base of operations to raid Zoma's castle when the time was ready. As you most likely know, things went poorly and we were forced to split. Some had enough time to return to the world above, while I found myself bored of the life waiting for me back in Asham. I enjoyed my path of soothing those around me. So I took up residence in Damdara to ease the residents, even picked up a few medical skills. I do have to say, though, sometimes I regret leaving my poor sister Vashti, but she's a big girl who can handle her own. Isamu and I saw her at one of her shows. She had a great performance. It was hard to keep my eyes off her, Fidir said. A smile spreads across his face. Thankfully, his smile is fairly hidden, but his praising words disturb the air around him. That's sweet of you to say. Seems I have nothing to worry about at all. Though I never expected you of all people to attend such a show. I love my dear sister, but she is nothing compared to what I am capable of. Hotaru loudly coughs, drawing their attention. Anyway, we need to find the remaining relics. Remember? Sorry, sweetie. This old girl is getting lost in her glory days. I would suggest checking where we made our base. We called it Cantilm. It's to the southeast of here. I don't know about any relics there, but there may be a smith who can tinker with that metal. Then we should probably head over soon. Isamu and Aziza might be there, Fidir suggested. Couldn't agree with you more. Lena, thank you for all you have given me. Without your help, I don't know if I would have gotten here, or found Hotaru. No problem, my sweet angel boy. When you put a stop to all this chaos, make sure to come back so I can properly reward you. You have yourself a deal, he said, reaching his hand out. A warm, soft hand like silk and scented like fresh budding flowers, gently wrapped around his. Her tender nails caress his patchy skin. Though I think I will have to decline your reward. I am a man of the goddess after all. Aren't you funny? She whispers gently. It seems I have truly lost my bindings around you, though losing to a goddess is quite an achievement on my part. Are we going or what? Hotaru shouted. A lot has definitely changed from the man I knew. She muttered as her steps trail off. Stay safe, Fidir, Lena said with a dead tone and slight worry, letting go of his hand. Chapter 45. The men are lined up in rows, striking forward, shouting with every punch. They are young rookies covered in sweat, wearing muted light leather armor with a unique insignia of a shield across the chest. They stand in an empty stone courtyard, shielded by the fortified walls of the city. They are not alone, however, as other soldiers equipped in steel, adorning the same insignia on their helmets, are watching from the sidelines, also sapped of their energy. Isamu sweeps his arm across, looking forward at the weakened army standing before him. Your strikes need to be faster. Your opponent, whether man or monster, will see your punches coming. Any advantage you give your enemy is a quick ticket to death. From their tired eyes, his words aren't reaching them. It's hopeless. The men before him are pushed beyond their limits. There's not enough food or time to rest. With monsters looming in the darkness around every corner, such risk cannot be taken. Isamu understands why the strict training sessions must happen, but nothing will be retained without rest. It was one of the first lessons Pimiko taught. An older gentleman in a brown heavy cloak steps over to Isamu from the side. He is scrawny and hollow to the point a strong wind could break him. People like him should be relaxing in peace, not trudging through the dangers of Alfgard. Isamu catches his slow approach, shifting his head towards him. The scouts have returned, he whispered, cupping his mouth with one hand. Thank you for the update, he responded, and the gentleman scattered into the night. Looks like Aziza is back. Today will be the end of your training, he shouted. Take a good rest, but next time we will focus on sparring against each other. Dismissed. The young martial artists fall to the floor after giving the order. Some are laid out flat like a fresh corpse. He shakes his head slightly, watching as the other soldiers leave the premise as if a show has just ended. Perhaps Grandma saw me in the same way, he pondered, looking down at the exhausted men. He scopes the area. Most of the civilians are gone for the night. All that is left are several guards of high status patrolling the open streets. Next to the courtyard is a large stone-paved street, leading up to the entrance of Cantiln, with the other end being the king's large cabin. His destroyed castle is far behind the reinforced walls, peeking over like an ominous omen. He steps onto the streets, walking up to the entrance, eyeing the many thin alleyways. Posted along the streets are burly and rugged vendors, selling weapons, armor, and even servicing damaged gear. How long has it been since vendors have roamed the street? He thought, remembering his time in large cities like Romaria or Portuga. Gone were the days of leisure strolls and careless activities. Now every gold had to be spent to survive, every second spent wisely. Vendors were not the only things stationed on the streets. Large stone golems, made of the same material as the walls, remain lifeless. Many aspiring engineers countlessly working their precious time away to control them. Once in control, they say, the golems will act as sentries outside the city walls to fight off any unwanted intruders. The dream is there, their spirit is sound, and the amount of aid they would provide is undeniable. But from the way they tumble, crashing into the mess of stones at any inconvenience, leaving behind craters and cracks on the streets, let alone wielding their might, it would take years, time that is not available. Even if they were successful, the golems at this moment would have to be reconstructed to last a bout against the monsters of Alfgard, and from what Isamu witnessed in the arena pits of Romaria, a puny slime bested the Titan. A lesson he will not soon forget, back when times were simpler and mistakes were minor. That sight is proof enough a golem of stone would be impossible to control and maintain. How did Romaria hide such devastating power under the city? It's possible to believe the Shady King has ways, maybe even ties the dark power, the same as Pimiko. However, the dark power they held is no longer reliable. With the orbs gone, it was hard to stir up the same confidence as before. Baramos was a joke compared to his stories, yet it was what he wanted Isamu to believe. Anger drove his might forward, the orbs fueling the fire, but now he reaps the consequences, wondering every day for the past few weeks where the remainder of his friends are, believing he caused them grief, death. He reaches the entrance soon enough to find 5 scrawny scouts covered in dark clothes and cloaks. Attached to their waist are nearly empty sacks, which were once filled with fading jennies. Fading jennies were thankfully easy to replenish in a week's time. Unfortunately, fading jennies also didn't last long. They grew as fast as they went, but from the smiles on their faces, they must have come across new information in the short time they had. Among them is Aziza, looking up to the buttress, lost in thought. Looks like you made it back in one piece, he said, walking up to her, grabbing her attention away from the walls. Guessing by their faces they found something worth the trip. Her eyes are cold like the air, and her words are soft like a whisper. You're right. We couldn't explore the whole area, but it looks to be a checkpoint of sorts to the far north. Way to go, Aziza. Seems with your help, the map you guys have been scribbling out will be done in no time. He sighs, though you shouldn't push yourself. You just got here a few days ago. Rest should be your top priority. Kinda hypocritical of you to say, don't you think? She responded by pointing to his left arm in a large stained sling. Despite a broken arm, you still went out of your way to train a bunch of rookies. He carefully grazes his broken arm. The pain throbs lightly like a heartbeat, though it has grown more annoying than painful. Why do you think I'm training people in my stead? Even I know that having both arms, no matter your skill, is better than one. Besides, there's work to be done, and lazing around isn't really my style. You took the words right out of my mouth. But still, your work is harder than mine. I have the fortune of not facing death at every corner. Do you plan on stopping me then? In this state, like I can, he answered, pointing to his sling. However, I do notice your bag is empty compared to the others. You tend to push your luck, scouting on your own. You always have. She turns her face away from his. Her face is full of distraught. His eyebrows drop down, his eyes narrow. His words are serious. I'm not the only one suffering. You're looking for them, aren't you? Yes, I am. She struggled to get those words out. Why has she been so distant? Does she blame me? I can't fault her. I was so willing to push onward. I know if it were me, I could never be stuck with the man who doomed the world and saw my life as a necessary sacrifice. He pushes aside his drowning thoughts, relying on his wit to keep him afloat. Is that why you have been so distant as of late? Afraid I would stop you from trying? It's as you said. In your state, you can't. She takes a deep breath, looking deep in the cloudy black sky. No matter where I look or how much I push myself or try the unthinkable, no trace of either of them is in sight. I worry, Isamu. I worry that maybe... Her words trail off. You do remember who we are talking about, right? They aren't the type to lay down and die. Hotaru, I know that for sure, and while Fedir may be more insistent to the notion, he still pushes through, denying that fate. He looks to the cold ground, taking a deep breath. It was him, after all, who pushed himself to save your life. So are you two on bad terms now? He freezes. How could Fedir leave out such an important part of his awakening? He didn't tell you. I guess it wasn't crucial enough to warrant talking about. He mentioned something of a fight when I asked about you guys, but he went straight back to discussing reaching Baramos. I like to think of it more as a disagreement. A fight is too simple. Do you hate him? A long, deafening pause shrouds the cold air. He doesn't reply, but his eyes are thoughtless. Yet by the way his mouth quivers, it's like his brain is having a debate against itself. She steps past him, peering straight ahead. I'm going to the mess hall if you need anything. He sits quietly on his raised cot. The room is small and empty, with only the cot and a small countertop. The room isn't comforting. The walls are like a prison cell, and his belittling thoughts, like the guards, occasionally reminding him of the errors. He peeks over at the golden claw that lays at the center of the surface, staring deeply at the distorted figure of himself. Despite all the pain it has wrought and the blood it has spilled, it remains pure with its golden sheen. Though the claw may have stayed the same throughout the months, he hasn't. He takes the claw and places it over his hand, flicking the fingers. He looks deep into his palm, the sharp, dangerous nails towering over his calloused hand like a fearsome monster stalking its unsuspecting prey. What would Grandma have done at this point? Being split up from the hero who is destined to save the world. Would she go out and find her or come up with a different approach? I miss you, Grandma. You had faith in me, but I am a mere shell of your teachings, unable to thrive on my own. The freedom you gave was your cruelest gift. The door cracks open and startles him. The old scout from before peeks his head in. Please forgive my intrusion, Master Isamu, but you haven't happened to see Aziza around. He lifts from his bed, setting the claw aside on the counter. She said she was going to the mess hall, but that was hours ago. Is she needed for something? The scout's eyes shift around the room and his lips quiver. Oh, I hope I am wrong. She was supposed to report back to the map room of her findings, but she never showed up. She's not in her room either. Isamu reflects the man's emotions. Maybe she's in the city somewhere. The other scouts are searching at this very moment. Can you tell me anything suspicious about her? Did something happen outside the city walls? I don't think so. Today was a good day for our expedition. We discovered a plot of land which is presumed to have belonged to the heroes from above. On our way back, we were speculating it might have been the final checkpoint before their raid on Zoma's castle. Isamu freezes in place. His mind clicks. Which way is the checkpoint? He flinches to his words as if smacked in the face. Are you suggesting she went out on her own? She has history in that place. I have no doubt she is there. I can't have you go alone. We will send the scouting team. You don't have the resources for that. Your expedition nearly used all of this week's fading jennies. Hand the remainder to me, and I will bring her back safely. She and I are close. She will listen. Okay, I will do as you say. The nervous scout places his hand in his large cloak to pull out a piece of paper. It is rolled up poorly, covered in small rips. He opens it to find a layout drawn. The checkpoint is to the north of here. He points to the southeast of the map where the word Cantiln is placed. The map has a large landmass in a U shape with different points of interest written on the map. To the northwest, in a large flat plain, is Zoma's Plains. Slightly to the right of that is a lone island labeled Zoma's Castle. Below that, to the southwest, is Damdara Desert, and the northeast is mostly blank, with no words. It isn't much, but it will point you in the right direction. Now let's hurry quickly to the map room to gather some fading jennies, he said, bolting out the door. She was looking for someone. It's not Hotaru or Fedir, he thought. How can I be so stupid? Chapter 46. She runs north, hiding underneath the leaves as she listens out for tremors. Aziza doesn't have any fading jennies on her person, so the tall trees will have to serve as her protection. Thankfully, the Franticor's stomps are no longer heard, most likely on the other side of the plains. From the brief time she has gone out on expeditions with the others, she has learned that the wandering beast has a schedule it follows like clockwork. As long as she remembered the patterns correctly, the land of the northeast was safe. However, in return, the monsters tend to come out, large and brutal ones. This wasn't going to stop Aziza. She was so close now. The checkpoint holds the answer she has been seeking for all this time. Nothing would stop her. The air, like always, is cold. The sound is quiet. Only her steps through the black grass sound. The path before her is dark like an ocean abyss, but she has made certain to remember the path as the nearby flowing water was an indicator of rightful progression. The path soon opens up to a beautiful lake connected by the forest river, surrounded by the dead flat land. Zoma has brought ruin to this place years ago. While she is exposed to the moon as she approaches the lake, the curse of Zoma's destruction doesn't strike her. He seems to have other concerns, or rather the skeptical people of this land will say anything to avoid confrontation with the outside world. Perhaps the fall of their hero has garnered more fear of Zoma's might. By the lake are worn and ripped tents, still standing on the flat land of dirt. Supplies such as rations, weapons, cooking utensils, and documents lay scattered along the ground. Aziza didn't have time to rummage through the things before, but now things were different. No longer held back by the fear of others, any monster brave enough to disrupt her goal was foolish to face her wrath. She digs through the items, hopping in between the different destroyed structures. Most of the things along the site are worn or broken. The tomes and documents are barely legible due to age. Yet strangely, some of the writings are crystal clear, but the words are unlike anything she has seen. She freezes for a moment as she stares at the foreign text. Where have I seen this before? The text doesn't look to be written in pen. It's almost like it was drawn through the use of magic. However, she didn't have time to ponder. Though she was willing to fight beyond her limits if the occasion arose, she had to find the truth. It's what she has been searching for. She finds more weapons and tools, even a few instruments. Finally, among the rubble, something catches her eye, a milky white light, glimmering in one of the abandoned tents. She turns to it to find a large rock, with color and sheen like a stainless mirror. Its captivating light draws her in, like a fishing hook. She walks into the shade of the tent. There it sits, alone on a table. The largest tent in the camp looks to be a war room with several seats around the table and many charts and torn maps on its surface. She touches it carefully. It's an extremely hard metal which radiates a profound strength, like an intense eruption from a volcano, similar to Orochi's orb she briefly held. The weight is far beyond what it looks as she struggles to lift it slightly above its stand. The weight is too much, and she drops it. The table below snaps in half, scattering all the papers like a storm blew in, and a loud, thunderous crack pierces through the sky. She dives to a corner, afraid of what attention she drew from the outside. She waits with her sharpened blades in hand, but nothing responds. The daggers she held were gifts by the scouts, only to be used to scavenge resources as they are brittle and prone to break against an opposing force. Again, she doesn't care. If one blade shall break, she will use another, and another, as she carries an arsenal of knives in many pockets of her apparel. Lastly, she has another trick if the need arises, thanks to the researchers at Cantilne, a bomb which will produce a burst of smoke. Slowly, she rises back up, placing the daggers in her sheath. She hits her head on a shelf and the shock startles her. She rubs her head and makes eye contact with an old heavy box on a flimsy shelf. Thankful her blunder didn't cause it to crash onto her. Her eyes widen. I know this box. With haste, she snaps the box open and her assumption was correct. Inside were old toys and crafts Aziza used to have as a child. Her parents promised her that they would hold on to them until they were reunited, back when she left Thedon. Most of her dolls are soot-stained or torn, but her mind is able to look past their flaws, gently placing them back in the box. They were here. She shuffles her hand inside and grabs something to her surprise. A sealed letter. Unlike everything else, it's untouched by time, pure white like clouds. The front reads, "To Aziza." She scratches it open, trying to keep the envelope in good condition, but the old paper tears away with ease. She looks at the words. It's her mother's writing. How long has it been, my sweet child? Your father and I have arrived safely in the world of Alfgard. We have taken positions in the old town of Rimmuldar. From what we learned, this part of the region used to belong to fairies, magical people who are in the old storybooks we used to read you. Most aren't around anymore, but we would love to see one and hopefully be able to tell you in person. Your father and I miss you so much. I hope everything in Alihan is doing well for you. Ortega has updated us on how you've gotten along nicely with his kids. It makes me so happy for you to be treated like family. It's friends like them who will keep your chin up when the going gets tough. We would know. Your father also wanted you to have his pendant, saying you can connect the two together to make them pretty and a physical representation of our love for you. We love you, Aziza. Stay strong. We are always in your heart no matter where we are. Love, Mom and Dad. Ortega used to bring letters to her when he found time to visit Alihan. Seems he never got the chance to deliver this one. Likely for the reason they were unable to return to Alfgard, stuck in a world consumed by fear. However, the worst of her fear has been proven a reality. They are gone. With this letter and the pendant it carries as proof of their final stand. She searches the envelope to find the missing piece of the pendant. Her eyes brim with tears as she holds it up close, undisturbed by the cruel fate of time. It still shines like the last day she saw them. She removes her pendant from her chest pocket one pristine while the other damaged beyond repair. She brings them together. A peaceful click sounds. The pieces are now whole again. How long has it been since I heard that sound? She takes the heart-shaped pendant and brings it to her chest. You're right, Dad. It is pretty, she thought. I wish you and Mom could see it. The pendant and I are one and the same. We were both loved and deeply treasured. Her sadness, her grief grows into an uncontrollable rage as she squeezes it tightly. Did you find what you were looking for? A voice from the outside said. She knows that voice and steps out from the corner of the tent to the entrance. Standing alone upon the land of ruin with a half-filled sack on his waist was Isamu. He has no playful smile like before. The concern on his face is almost frightening. Zoma killed them, Isamu. They are gone. I'm sorry to hear that. I wish there was a way we could have prevented this. The silence in the air is nerve-wracking. At every corner there are footsteps from the Franticor or wild animals in the trees, but now there is nothing. How did you know I was here? She asked. The scouts told me of their discovery, and I connected the dots. All this stuff that lies before us, he says, looking around the campsite. It belonged to them, didn't it? Her silence was deafening. The boiling of her blood carried her rage. She knows the castle is close, and her mind and heart are in agreement. I'm going to kill him. She places the pendant in her pocket, stepping forward. Where are you going exactly? Zoma's castle sits on the west, on an island by itself. I'm not running anymore. I got what I wanted and I no longer hold fear. I'm taking the fight to him. Only then can I be at peace. He steps in her path, his eyes full of sorrow. Get out of my way, Isamu, she ordered, trying to move past him, but he continued to block her like a moving wall. I can't let you. We are going back to Cantilne. She huffs. What happened to you, Isamu? You were so keen on taking out the Archfiend, and now you hesitate like everyone else. You don't understand, Aziza. Then tell me, she shouted, stepping back. Why are you so reluctant to press forward? You led that army to victory. You were courageous, confident, and swift with action. We were right there, and now you're giving up the fight? I was foolish. What you call courageous, confident, and swift were haste and carelessness. My actions nearly got everyone killed. My thirst for Baramos' death was boundless, and I was willing to throw your life away to end him. She flinches, looking deep at the saddened man, his arm held close to him. What happened on that day, Isamu? He sighs. Grandma was killed by my hand. She told me to finish her lifelong mission. I was set to get it done, but Fadir and I couldn't agree. I hated him for what he said, still holding on faith to the goddess. Somehow she was going to fix everything. It wasn't until I was alone that I tried to understand his view. I now know that when Grandma died, I still had family to fall back on, and I almost threw it away. Are you giving up then? Is this your way of atoning? We're the only ones standing now. Are you truly going to wait as Zoma brings more destruction to the world, clinging on to some better option that may never come? I don't know, but what I do know is that I cannot let you tackle Zoma alone. I cannot let the people I care about repeat the same mistakes. The burden is too much for one person to bear. Are you going to stop me? He raises his arm up, his eyes narrow. The way he is ready to battle is unlike his training within the last week. There is a fire in his eyes and a will to fight, the kind of spirit needed to storm Zoma's castle. If you won't listen to words, then I will use actions, since they are all you see. She draws her daggers from her waist. They shine in the bright moonlight. She leans forward, eyes on him. Zoma is going to pay for his brutality, and if I must get through you, then so be it. She was going to carve Zoma's skull clean from his neck. The determination was lit with a blazing fire in her heart, and nothing was going to hold her back. She throws a dagger at him and he evades with the tilt of his head, his stance unfazed by her strike. She lunges forward, swinging her dagger, but he moves out of her path like wind. Even with a broken arm, he is able to push her back with fierce kicks, occasionally catching her arm and with his and returning her strikes. Even when he speaks of losing his strength, the way he fights is beyond what she has seen prior. The man before her wasn't fighting with rage like before, but resolve. She's pushed back by a kick to the stomach. She kneels to the ground, covered in sweat. He still stands tall. She reaches into her pocket and pulls out a small bomb, throwing it to the ground. A pool of gray smoke scatters across the campsite. She is invisible as she scampers. "Start to utilize smoke bombs in your kit?" he asked. "It's a good way to hide from prying eyes." A fist drives towards her and she easily evades, lacerating his arm. As his arm withdraws into the smoke, she latches onto it, pulling her weight to the ground, but he doesn't budge. The smoke clears and his face winces, teeth gritting as she pulls him, his blood spilling into the soil. He sees her, lifting her up, slamming his head into hers. She crashes to the ground, head throbbing as she holds it. The pouring blood from Isamu's arm slides down to his elbow as he readies his stance, his face back to calm. Aziza holds her head in thought. How is he still standing? "You can't win against me, Aziza. I have too much to lose. Do you understand that if I let you go, the look on Hotaru and Fidir's faces, how cruel do you have to be to have me suffer like that? Listen to me. I want to stop Zoma too, but my way isn't right. It never has been. Remember what we said at the beginning, when we left Alihan?" Her breathing is heavy as the words come out. "We were coming home together. You remember our promise, because you still believe them, and so do I. Let's go back to Cantiln. Let's find our friends, our family, and I promise your parents' death won't be in vain, just like Grandma." She stares into his eyes. They are hurt. Tears drip down his face like the blood on his arms. Every fiber of her being is telling her to not let this chance slip by. Zoma must be stopped now. It's what Pimiko, Ortega, and her parents were fighting for. She had to finish what they started to give their deaths meaning, to bring peace to all the unfortunate souls who lost their lives to the calamity he had wrought. But deep in her heart, suppressed by her rage, he was right. She longed for her friends, and while she believed that they were gone, she can't bring herself to believe it. In the same way she held out hope for her parents. Every night in this new world, tears flooded her eyes. Nothing made sense. Everything was gone. The letter being the final nail in the coffin. She had nothing left to lose to Zoma. But Isamu, how he fought and what he believed, was right. He had to be, for her sake. Her eyes brim with tears once more. "Okay, let's go back," she sniffled, her hand shaking. Letting go of her weapon, it implants itself into the dirt. He steps over and a gun cocks. Quickly they spin around to find a hooded man with a flintlock pistol pointed at them. Underneath the hood, he has a grizzled face that is intimidating, and his eyes are sunken. He wears a large gray cloak that covers his body, only exposing his brown boots. Aziza stands behind Isamu and he holds his fist close, though his breath is weak, blood still pouring. He steps forward, staring at the nasty gash in his arm. A deep voice echoes in the silence. "Come." Chapter 47. They step into the destroyed campsite. The dirt is littered with rusted equipment and soggy papers. The harsh rain yesterday forced Hotaru and Fidir to stay in Cantiln till it stopped, but once over they rushed north in search for their friends. From the fear of the townspeople, rain hasn't stricken the land in ages, leaving most of the tents lying in murky puddles. The cold air has finally changed, but for the worst, it was freezing. Thankfully, the townspeople had gifted them cloaks for the journey, and despite their warnings of the dangers, they went anyway. They expressed their anxieties of monsters and lightning, but Lena foretold of their behavior and Hotaru witnessed it firsthand. Unlike the people of Damdara, anything foreign was seen as a threat. It was only with Hotaru's lead they were able to get this far, following a glimpse of hope. "Can you sense anything, Fedir?" Hotaru asked, holding her body tight. Yet from the way her eyes shift, it's more out of worry than weather. He kneels down to the ground, caressing the soft and wet grass. From the thick shield blocking his face, it was unsettling to watch as she couldn't see an expression on his face. It wasn't a helmet like a knight or a warrior, but something ancient like a piece of earth founded at its depths. It had no markings or signs of craftsmanship, yet it fit him well enough, and from his posture didn't seem to impede him. Either way, not seeing his face was hard to swallow, as all she could do is simply wait for him to finish for an answer. It seems whatever scent was left was washed away by the rain. However, there is an uneasy air around this place. Hotaru lifted Isamu's golden claw, staring deep into its nails. "Do you think they were hurt?" To find the golden claw was a mix of emotions. She didn't know whether to be happy he was alive, or scared he ran off after Aziza without a weapon. The only reason she could think was he wasn't planning on coming back. The people describe Isamu as having soulless eyes, a disconnect from reality. He didn't have sympathy or a wide expression. He may have helped teach people his art, but the man they were describing didn't sound like her brother, but a soldier playing his role. Did he want to die? Does he carry regret? Before everything turned for the worse, she only saw anger in his eyes. Has the flame burned out, leaving him a hollow husk? Hard to say, Fedir responded, grabbing her attention, though when she looked at the sturdy helmet, she didn't feel a sense of doubt in his words, speaking as if without emotions, only facts. There appears to be monsters, but they are too far away to have noticed them. I doubt even now they would wander in these conditions. Wait, he says, turning to face the largest tent. An immense power is near. She carefully steps over to a large tent. Unlike the others, they have several rips and are unstable. This one has remained strong despite the rain and dangers. At the center, a bright light emerges from inside. Underneath a destroyed table of documents, maps, and pins like chess pieces is a large stone. Hotaru gasps. It's orichalcum. She attempts to lift the heavy metal, struggling to carry it above the ground. Her pitiful grunt echoes inside the tent, its light shimmering to where she avoids direct eye contact. Fedir floats over to aid her, but suddenly stops. Something is coming, he said, and a cock of a gun sounded. Don't move, the mysterious deep voice said. Hotaru slowly turns her head to see at the center of the campsite is a large, cloaked man. He wears a hood covering his face and carries a flintlock pistol, similar to Maria. I said, don't move, he shouted. He steps towards them, peeking behind Hotaru at the shining stone. Looks like the kid was right. He points the gun at Hotaru. His faint green eyes shine through. It's dangerous here. Despite the gun at her head, she scowls at the man, unintimidated by his threat. His eyes pierced into her like a spear. However, they are not violent. What is it you want? Fedir asked. Don't do something you will regret, he answered, redirecting his gun at him. Again, his voice is calm and stoic like with Maria. I don't sense any malice in your heart. You have not brought terror to people. You fight to protect, not destroy. The cloaked man turns to face him, his gun keeping steady on Fedir. You hesitate to fire because a fear swarms your heart, or perhaps worry. Fedir finishes. Are you a mind reader? He stopped, staring at his green luminescent hair peeking from the back of his helmet. It can't be. You are a fairy. He lowers his gun. Fedir. Yes, I am. He tilts his head over to Hotaru. We are looking for our friends. We heard they headed up this direction a few days ago. He hesitates to speak as he holsters his firearm. So you're the friends those two have been spouting about. Hotaru shoots up. You've seen them? They live with me in my cabin. They were pretty beat up when I found them. Thank the goddess they are all right. Her arms shake. Finally, the answer is clear. Everyone is safe. Fedir looks over to her. At the front of the mask is an opening for his mouth where his faint smile can barely be seen. Please take us to them. That was the idea. Honestly, I never expected Ortega's kid to find her way here, but I guess Pimiko never goes back on her word. You know them? She asked. Probably more than you. There is a lot to the story I would prefer to tell once all you kids are in place. He walks over to the shining stone. His massive arm reaches out from the cloak, lifting the orichalcum with one hand. The bright rock reveals his face to be an older, grizzly-faced man with several scars and burns on his face. Let's hurry on before any monsters get the upper hand. There it was. Just like Galen's cabin sat a fortified building, however, several other houses lay in ruin. They stomped through the swampy land, passing through broken wells, worn-out signs and stone footbaths filled with discolored water with a stench rivaling a pig pen. Fedir looks unwell as he holds his stomach and turns his face away from the destruction. The smell must be overwhelming for him, Hotaru thought, remembering how Fedir explained his new senses. It was strange to hear how even if he can't see, he had a way to sense her presence. He could tell where to look when needing to speak. He couldn't see body language, but could tell through the voice of the soul, as he calls it. Again, it's hard to believe, but believing is what she plans to do for the sake of her friend. After what he went through to save Aziza, doubt was something hard to grasp when in his presence. Cole used to be a beautiful town where man and fairy lived as one, the hooded man said. While I never saw its original beauty, it is a safe haven from the monsters that roam the land. Hotaru stops to catch her breath. They reach the patio of the 2-story house, and sitting alone is Isamu tending to his injured arm, wrapping it with bandages. He looks up and stops in his tracks. They stare for a few moments until he shoots a quick smile, and a lift of his hand. Well, this is a lovely surprise, Isamu said as if unbothered by the distant time they have been apart. Hotaru steps forward, her heart racing. She doesn't know if she should hug him, scream at him for the worry he gave her, or match his energy. She gets a short distance from him, staring at his arms, his goofy smile radiating around the drab environment. What happened to your arm? He lifts his bandaged arm, staring at it. Got in a bad scrape. I meant the other one. Oh, I took a nasty fall. It broke on the way down here. You broke your arm? Fedir questions and Isamu looks over at him. His playful eyes tense up as he stares. There is an awkward silence between the two. Is he still mad at him? She thought. Other than his eyes, his face is unreadable, like he is trying to fake out his opponent. Yeah, Isamu finally answers. I haven't been able to use it since. I'm sorry to hear that, Fedir responded. Don't be. I feel like I earned it for my reckless behavior. Silence fills the air once more. Their conversation being wooden has her nervous. Only the heavy stomps from the cloaked man's boots from the inside are heard. Anyway, Aziza should be awake soon. She has been waiting to see you for a while. We will do that, Hotaru said, matching his energy, walking into the house. The door closes, but their faint voices pierce into the house. Hey, Fedir. Yes, Isamu? Good to have you back. A brief silence emits once more. Same to you. Hotaru turns away from the door, and at the stairs at the back of the room is Aziza standing on the bottom step. They both smile at each other. However, her forehead has a giant bump near the roots of her hair. Nevertheless, she smiles, though she is rubbing her face. You got hurt too? Hotaru asked. Something like that, but it's fine now. Isamu and I took care of it. Now it is water under the bridge. You both have been acting strange. A strange new world creates strange new people. A lot has happened. Most, I would say, unpleasant. It wasn't until yesterday I felt good about what was happening. I can agree with you there. It's good to see you again, Aziza. It was hard, but I managed to hang out strong. I did too. Fadir's out front if you want to see him. I should go say hi. Heavy stomps come down the stairs. The cloaked man glares down at the two of them from halfway up the steps, his hood still covering his face. While you're down there, can you grab those two and send them up to my room? I will need to discuss some important business with all of you. Okay, Takeshi, she answered with a polite response. Excuse me, Hotaru. We will catch up at another time. She walks past the lone grounded table and exits out the door. For a moment, Hotaru glances around the room. The first floor is like the homes back in Japan. The kitchen and dining room are all together with decor along the walls in reference to Irama's castle. There's another open door which leads outside, revealing forging equipment. You come from Japan? She asked. Follow me up to the second floor. I will tell you everything I know. Also make sure to leave your boots at the door. Hopefully that was something Pimiko and your father taught you. The hooded man takes a seat at the head of the large table on the second floor. The others already seated at the large table with Hotaru peeking around. Unlike below where the room is inviting, this floor has dozens of weapons and armor leaned up against the wall, some of which have fallen flat on the floor. There are a few cots against the walls with a dirty anvil alone in the corner. He clears his throat, placing his elbows on the empty table, hands connected together. Let me start off by answering your question. I was a blacksmith for Ortega's army. I wasn't very close to the guy, but Pimiko suggested I could use my talent in his quest. As you can tell by now, things went south. No matter how much we prepared, Zoma and his army had us against the wall. Ortega's sacrifice bought us a little time, and Pimiko sought out the next in line. Looks like she was successful. Any reason she hasn't joined us here? They all look at each other, remembering that horrible day. It was the day everything changed. The day Pimiko warned about. She is gone, Isamu said quietly. Takeshi takes a deep breath, looking down at the stained wood of the table. Is that so? A solemn silence takes hold as he silently prays. She was a hope and a guiding light for those around her. She always was pushing herself beyond her limits. I knew the orb would eventually take her. You mean the purple orb? Hotaru asked. That's the one. Without it, she would have been gone long ago. Ortega's friends swore to take them away from Alfgard to avoid Zoma from holding power over them. However, she had other plans beyond simply hiding it. It granted her an extended life in exchange for shortening those around her, siphoning power from her people like some kind of catalyst. She didn't want to rely on such measures, but needed the next hero to be ready in time. Isamu looks down to his hands. That's why she faded away, Hotaru thought. Her energy was completely depleted. There was no time for her body to decompose. Why did it have to end like this? I didn't see her much after she left Alfgard, but she spoke very highly of all of you. She was certain you four would succeed where she failed. I'm certain Ortega felt the same way. Of course, with all of you here, I'm inclined to believe the same thing, but I won't truly know until Zoma is buried with his castle. Back to business. I'm sure you have learned of the 3 relics in the goddess's arms. We have, Hotaru answered. We know that orichalcum is used to make the Sword of Kings and the Hero's Shield. She withdraws her orichalcum. Its size and weight are less than the massive stone that sits on the anvil, lighting the room like a dim candle. She slides it over to him and he keenly stares into his reflection. Together, there should be enough to forge what is needed, perhaps maybe even more. Now all that is left is getting there. He reaches underneath the table to pull out a large potato sack. It has a powerful scent of fading jennies once it is open. But from within, he pulls out an orange flute and sets it on the table. Next are the relics. We found the amulet in Rubis Tower, but once the relic was destroyed during the road to Zoma's castle, it faded into light. Some old folk stories we found spoke of the amulet's destruction and how it could be rebuilt, but it must be done at the origins of the goddess, playing her melody by her most loyal of subjects. He looks over to Fedir. That's where you come in. Rubis Tower sits on the ocean to the north. It's not much, but my raft will take you there safely enough. Hold a moment, Isamu shouted, shooting up from his chair. You expect him to go alone? He's the only one who can play the flute. Everyone else has no business at that tower. It's fine, Fedir said. I can manage my own. Well, I'm coming with you. Isamu, please. It is not necessary. But I want to. He pauses, and the awkward silence from outside makes its way here. It's not much, but it would make me feel at ease. Just take the kid with you, Fedir, Takeshi ordered with a dismissive wave. Pimiko always spoke of how close you two were. Spending a trip together should iron out the mess you two are going through. Plus, there's not much he can do here anyway. Isamu sits down with Fedir, not saying anything in response. Isamu has his eyes on the table, avoiding eye contact with the rest of the group. He seems troubled by something. Perhaps his words at Japan are weighing on him like a terrible sin, yet Takeshi knows them well, like he was there on that day. Next up, Takeshi resumes, handing the bag of fading jennies to Aziza, the Staff of Rain. To the west of here is an old shrine with a hermit who guards the staff. I had to return it to her once all was done. Aziza, I'm sending you to go get it back. She should also tell you how to use the 3 relics. Aziza nods, looking into the bag. It is brimming with the magical vegetables, though the smell is repulsive. The taste is also something Hotaru will never get used to. But the Franticore's territory must be close if she has a full bag. Thankfully, Aziza wasn't fazed by the plan, taking the bag in hand like when she sneaked into Adina Castle. And finally, Hotaru, I will need your assistance in forging the weapons. How can I help? She asked, shrugging her arms. I don't know anything about smithing. The making of the weapons will be all on me. You will need to practice with the sword once it is crafted. It will be unlike the weapons you have used before. It requires the blood of a hero. He rose from his chair, walking towards the stairs. You better hurry. Every second counts. The final battle approaches. Chapter 48. The dark, endless water is still like a painting in a frame with the contrasting moon far out in the permanent night sky. It's a beautiful sight, captured in an isolated moment. Not only does such a sight ring true for the ocean of this world, but all of its land. The world before Zoma's domain must have been vibrant, full of life. Yet another reason he must be stopped. Isamu holds the mast of the shoddy raft, staring forward, avoiding sight with the dark ocean. Fedir sits like a monk on the edge, breathing in the fresh, cool, salty air. Fedir's calm voice startles Isamu, as his breathing is frantic. Scared of the water? Fedir questioned. In the world of fighters, anything that impedes movement is an uncomfortable position to be in. However, I think the raft is what I'm more worried about. I know Takeshi said it will grant safe passage, but all it takes is one monster and we're sunk. You needn't worry. I can't sense any monsters nearby. Isamu pauses. You can't. Something I picked up a while ago, or I guess I always had it. Their voices trail off into the horizon, the soft waves created by the raft, gently brushed against its edges. A slight wind conjured by Fedir, flowing into the blank flag, pushing the raft to the north. Isamu glances at the helmed man staring at him, his green hair acting as a light in the darkness. Isamu witnessed the horror that befell his friend. From the words of the people, he shouldn't be alive. Was there a spell that saved him? Isamu pondered, peeking back, but careful to avoid the center of his face, afraid he can tell Isamu was glaring. Already Isamu was skeptical about how magic worked. how one could create an energy to destroy or aid. It wasn't until a few years ago he grew more accepting of it as his sister learned to wield it. But this is beyond anything he has seen before. A friend he once knew has completely changed before his eyes. The man is a myth of legends from what Aziza has told him. "You can create magic without imbued items?" he asked, staring eerily at the daunting mask. Fidir nodded, facing towards him. "Figured that one out once I lost my staff. I will have to forgive Queen Isis for losing her gift." Again, silence returns, the conversation running cold like the chilly breeze. Isamu stares at the ocean, then back to Fidir, repeating the cycle like clockwork. He is relaxed, calm, even when Takeshi mentioned the final battle, how close the end is. He didn't flinch nor react, simply followed the orders given. It's like fear no longer consumes his mind, a robotic shell of the man he knew. "I think we found it," Isamu announced as he leaned his head forward. Isolated alone on an island is a massive tower. The resemblance to Dreamer's Tower is uncanny, like they got lost in an illusion of the past. Fidir stands up, keeping his eyes towards the direction of the blowing of the wind. "You might want to hang on," Isamu said. "The bump coming up might startle you." The raft smacks onto land, coming to a complete stop. He looks up at the tower, mesmerized by its height. The tower looks to reach the heavens. It will take hours to scale the whole thing. Fidir floats off the raft, leaving Isamu stunned. I forgot he can do that, he thought, but now was not the time to gawk, unless he wanted to drift out into the sea. He jumps onto the tall grass, strapping the simple vessel with the use of a makeshift anchor Takeshi lent them. "Can I have some help here?" Fidir turns to face him. The helmet blocks all physical emotion he would have. It's hard to tell from his floating posture if he is disappointed or happy to help. Fidir sticks his hand forward. The anchor lifts slightly in the air. He brings his hand down and the spike stabs into the soil, embedded like a fairy tale sword to be drawn by the chosen one. "Thanks," Isamu softly said, redirecting his attention to the tower. The door looks untouched by the hands of time, though they appear to be heavy. Isamu walks to the door, pushing it open with his arm. It creaks and echoes throughout the sky. "I will lead," he said. The path through the first floor of the tower is a linear one. The dust-covered red carpet leads them in further, and the cobblestone walls are covered with stainless windows like a church. Their light footsteps break the eerie silence. A rancid smell envelops the air. "What is that?" Fidir asked. "I sense a dark presence nearby." "That doesn't sound good," Isamu thought, but he peeks down to the floor. It's poison, like the one in Thedon. Ahead is a purple bubbling poison that boils like a hot pot. It covers the entire path forward, which at the end leads to a spiraling staircase. There isn't much remaining as it has eaten away at the floor, seeping through the carpet, stone, and finally crust of the earth. However, the path is blocked as a decent long jump won't pass the poison that lies in wait, like traps set by hunters. "Looks like we can't get across. We have to find another way around." As the sentence finishes, Fidir floats over to the other side. "That's convenient. Can you get me over there?" Fidir lifts his hand to Isamu. A barrier of light blue forms around him like a shield. "That should protect you from the poison. It isn't strong enough for monsters, though." "Thanks." Again, he accepts his words, stepping through the poison. It sizzles like meat on a scorching pan, but the poison doesn't pierce through the barrier. He reaches the other end unscathed, staring at the soles of his shoes. "You have picked up a lot of spells since we last spoke. My awakening has garnered many abilities." They step up the spiraling stairs, one loud echoing step at a time, careful to not disturb the ancient rock. The further they travel, the more cracks reveal themselves, some large enough to peek outside to the dangerous drop. The grass mesh together and their raft slowly falls out of view. Isamu hangs close to the center, forcing conversation to distract himself from reality. "So, what other powers do you have? Can you teleport or fly?" "No, but I can tell something is frightening you." "How?" Your energy calls out to me. I can feel it. It cries for help. If you could see what we were doing, you might have the same opinion. Maybe so, though the idea isn't pleasant. I may have lost it, and even with new ways to sense the world, going without sight still bothers me, like losing family, someone I could always rely on no matter what. Not only that, I can feel the burns from that beast even greater than before. I am in constant pain. Can we bring you to a healer or something? We don't have time. We must save the world before anyone can get hurt. Aren't those along the lines of your words? He looks down to his broken arm, both bearing scars and traumas from their endeavor. I won't argue against it, but I find it hard for me to stay with them. I haven't suffered as much as you. However, I want to believe I learned as much. Their voices trail off. The silence is awkward. Isamu continues to climb up the stairs holding his arm. Fidir, again, unbothered by the state of the world. He wants to comfort his friend. It's clear he is suffering. They have always had differing views, walks of life, but together they stand, fighting for the same cause. He wants to rekindle their friendship, but the words to him are lost. Only his diminishing thoughts echo. He has been through so much, and I am part to blame. Fidir doesn't deserve any of the turmoil he has suffered, especially from me. How could he forgive me? Fidir can sense the battle in Isamu's heart. He is fighting. Each sentence spoken like cutting off skin, reopening wounds struggling to recover. Any more and the pain would be too much for either to bear. Isamu's footsteps stop dead in their tracks. His energy picks up light like a kindled flame. This must be the top. Keep close to me, Isamu ordered, the sound of his steps leading ahead. The crack of a door echoes and a faint smell of calming incense appears. Isamu gasps. Fidir doesn't sense any malice, but rather the opposite. What do you see? Fidir asked. It's like a chapel here. There are a few pews along the walls, coins set along the floor, and... His voice stops abruptly, and his steps push farther in. It's a statue of some woman, but it's so lifelike. As Fidir moves in, a faint sound of rubbing is heard. It's made of stone, but it's soft. This must be where we play the flute, Fidir said, reaching into his coat, feeling for the flute. Can you play? I have a few times at Mass when the church needed someone to play for the hymns. Takeshi said any melody would work as long as it was from her most loyal servant. So, I guess the stage is yours. Fidir brings the flute to his dry lips. Memories of his youth flood in, remembering the beautiful songs they sang, the holy music from the instruments the church provided. He never cared for instruments, singing, putting forth a performance, but they brought people joy, a moment to let go of any difficulties of life. It was then he knew it was his calling. He uses those memories to play the flute, the first song he played. Its beautiful sound blows in the wind like a call, warding the darkness, bringing that moment of peace to the world of Alfgard. Suddenly, a white flash interrupts his play. His eyes shoot open. He can see before him an endless void of white. He looks to his pure hands, no longer scarred by the flames of evil, no longer burdened by the heavy helmet or the constant pain. He was healed, free. A heavenly woman's voice echoes in the light. It's gentle, soothing, and it is heard through the heart. I have watched over you for many years, Fidir. Before him a giant woman appears. Her hair is shining and pink. Her white skin is immaculate. Her blue eyes light up like the morning sky with a nostalgic warmth that radiates around him like a blanket, washing away stress, fear, anxiety. Words can't even escape his lips as he is encapsulated by her pure beauty, staring deeper into her eyes as he stares upwards. How can this be? He finally mutters. You are her. You are the goddess. Her soft eyes blink slowly to confirm his words. Slowly, she floats down to meet his eyes. I cannot thank you enough for the trials you have taken to bring peace to my land. As you know, Zoma has taken hold due to my lack of judgment. I have brought distress to my people. and many have lost faith. It's thanks to the people who hold me close, such as you, that I still remain in this realm. Unfortunately, my power has dwindled due to the blessings of the 6 orbs. However, I may still be able to provide assistance in your quest." A snap echoes throughout the endless void, and Fedir's body glows with flawless white. Once it fades, a flowing robe, embroidered with jewels, covers him. Its silk texture is comforting and cascades like the waves of the ocean without the aid of wind. Around his neck is an amulet with a holy golden symbol, which is found upon the ancient text of scriptures. "I grant you the auroral armor and my sacred amulet. It will aid you against Zoma, the Dark Lord." "If I may, goddess," Fedir said, nervous of the words that leave his lips, though she looks upon him like a parent to a curious child. "What happened in Japan? What happened to the world? Why haven't you saved us? Why must I have to suffer to get this far?" "Your question is one I am all too familiar with. Many see me as feigning ignorance. However, I watch all my children carefully. I don't intrude on my people's lives because doing so would neglect the people's free will and their chance to overcome. It's the natural progression of growth. Growing reliant on my power will make people weak, and weak people don't follow through with ambition for change. The wounds of your body and scars of your mind are trials, obstacles toward your dreams. You may look at your circumstance and believe you are cursed, but I see it as being strong. You have sacrificed much for your dream, such as those of the past and those who will be of the future. You are an inspiration to those who are lost and to the person you were, because you never gave up." He takes his hand, placing it on his heart, like a heavy weight has been lifted, though the pain of being crushed still needs to heal. "I will try to understand your perspective." "That is all I ask." The void disappears. Nothing is seen, yet the warm light still is comforting him. Isamu's voice shouts like danger is approaching. "Fedir!" Fedir feels his face to find the helmet is back on. The incense overwhelms his scent, and his head rumbles to Isamu's screaming. "What happened?" Fedir whispered, confused by the recent events. "The statue just up and disappeared, and you weren't responding. Then you shine bright with these new clothes around you. It all happened so fast." "It was real," he thought, touching the silk warm robe. "What happened to you?" He holds the amulet around his neck, close to his chest, feeling the edges of the cross shape. "You will never believe me. I spoke with the goddess." A sound doesn't leave Isamu's mouth. The pause of silence is deafening. His energy, though, isn't one of confusion or distress or frustration. It's calm like a gentle campfire. "You know, I don't believe that for a second, but I want to believe you. So many crazy things have happened that it is too much to ignore as luck or coincidence. Fedir, I would like to apologize. It's true I don't believe her, but it was terrible for me to say what I did. You shouldn't have to choose what to believe because of my thoughts. I'm sorry. I appreciate you saying that. It was hard to ignore what you said. They had weight. My faith lessened but never disappeared. It wasn't until now that I felt my faith come back to me. I'm happy to hear that from you, and I hope she gave you the answer you were seeking. Perhaps we can go back to the way things were. You know, at least for us to have something safe and familiar to cling on to in this new world. I would like that. Some peace in a world of the unknown would be nice." "Great!" he shouted, excited like a kid on his birthday. "There is so much we have to catch up on." "Agreed. I was hoping to tell you of a special friend I met recently." "And who would that be?" Fedir chuckles. How long has it been since his last genuine laugh, his excitement to speak? Only the #1 dancer in Asham. She lives in Damdara. A gasp like an adoring fan squeaks out. "You're serious? Lena is here? People say how her beauty rivals that of the Queen of Isis. You have to tell me what she looks like." A pause for several seconds filled the room, soon followed by an audible slap. "Damn it! Maybe we can find the time when it presents itself." "Maybe?" What you mean to say is definitely. Chapter 49. The land of the west quakes with tremors. Roaming dragon skeletons squishing what remains of life out of the foliage. Even the sturdy trees that once stood tall lay destroyed on the land. Child-sized purple demons with spiked whips fly through the air, cackling with madness. The Franticore spotlight eyes sweep across the flattened land. Aziza was at the heart of Zoma's plains. The land is flat like the grass and covered in fresh ash. There are no rocks or structures, no place to hide. Her fading jennies are plentiful, but for how long would they last? Every couple of minutes she would have to bite into another before its effects fully wore off. A second too late and the cackling demons were sure to spot her. However, those were the least of her worries. Nearby was a lake, black and thick like tar. At its center stood Zoma's forbidden castle, surrounded by a moat of vomit green acid. The grueling castle was surrounded by a translucent barrier with an ominous purple energy spewing out. Beyond that was ash-covered mountains and a massive volcano spitting black and red smoke like a broken machine, making the familiar dead air oppressive. The dangerous beasts walking on Zoma's plains are only half an hour away from safety. If what Takeshi said was true, and once all pieces are together, Zoma will strike. Then there isn't any time for a reunion, let alone preparations. But nevertheless, she must hurry. A timer is ticking regardless. The Franticore's eerie snarls rumble in the sweltering sky as it circles around, peering around like a scavenger looking for scraps. Yellow beams of light occasionally scan over her, each time her heart stops. Finally, something appears in the land of nothing, a swamp of poison. It bubbles with intensity, and the large monsters have steered clear of it. However, something was amiss. It didn't smell rancid or rotting. It didn't smell like anything. She closes in. It's not hot, either. She squats down to the toxic pool, taking a fading Jenny from her exposed bag and sticking the tip in. It sizzles like cooking meat, yet when lifted, its tip still remains, no damage in sight. She carefully sticks her finger in. It's tepid, but strangely boils. She stares ahead to find a stone staircase peeking out from the poison, diving deeper into the earth. She steps through the inky poison, unscathed by the toxins, and quickly reaches the first step. Below are a few more visible stairs before being engulfed by complete darkness. Her hand grows visible, and the Franticore sweeps its eyes across the field. No time to think this through. She rushes down the stairs, swallowed by the dark. Her steps echo along with the giant beast outside. The enclosed stairwell rumbles and dust scatters from the walls. Where could these steps possibly lead? She wondered. Perhaps it was a secret base that Ortega once used, or a gravesite for the unfortunate. A dim light came into view. The final step was reached, none of which she thought to be true lied ahead. The single room has its floor covered in vibrant flowers. It smells soothing and heavenly. The walls are coated with colorful banners, which look to belong to a kingdom of an ancient era. The bright light was like the sun she hasn't seen in weeks. At the end sits an empty throne with an ornate red chest at the feet. A soft voice like an angel bounces along the room. You have pushed through the toxic illusion. I don't know whether to congratulate you on your cleverness, or berate you for being daft. Radiant sparkles flutter through the air as if a coordinated wind blew into the room. They spin in a magnificent circle, gathering loose petals from the healthy plants, creating a beautiful display at the ceiling like a majestic, harmless squall. Aziza stands in the eye of the storm, looking up at the light show of vast petals before they dart towards the throne. They form a humanoid creature with long, flowing green hair and luminescent viridian eyes. "You're a fairy," Aziza chokes, watching in shock as she fully forms. She is a fair-skinned woman with a sparkling long red dress with matching flats. Her fine hair is dazzling and her clean smile is beaming with a cool confidence. She doesn't sit like a regal queen nor young princess, instead placing her feet on the ornate chest, hands clasped together. Was this the hermit Takeshi mentioned? But he said he never saw a fairy. "Why must you act surprised?" she asked in a playful tone, bringing Aziza back to the moment. "Seems this isn't your first encounter with a fairy." Her eyes widen. "How do you know?" She giggles with a devious smirk. "You're an adorable and oblivious thing. Don't you worry your heart out. I am no mind reader, if that is what you are thinking. It's simple, really. You smell like honey." Aziza sniffs her exposed hand, but she smells only the drenched sweat and soot she has been carrying for days. "Oh, trust me, sweetie. Honey isn't the only thing I smell on you, considering you have been gobbling those putrid plants like sunflower seeds. Your nose isn't strong enough to pick up the scent. Only the nose of fairies can, though fairies can't sense their own pheromones. It's like a mating call for animals." "Excuse me?" "Oh, forget it. Can't say I ever expected another fairy to be around these parts. Maybe love isn't completely off the table as I thought. So how about it, sweet thing?" She leans her head forward with curious eyes. "Care to introduce me?" Aziza is lost for words. Just moments ago she was worried of the monsters ripping her apart, and minutes later, a desperate fairy is asking for connections. "Alfgard is a strange place," she thought. "I was told to come here for the Staff of Rain." "You mean this thing?" she said, smacking her shoe on the chest below. "I don't know if I can trust you humans with this power. You failed once before. Please, it's urgent. We need to stop Zoma. I was sent here by Takeshi." She leans her head back on the throne. "So that phony who calls himself a smith wants another go? Well, too bad. I tried helping before under the guidance of the goddess, but after the destruction of our relics, I can't go forth with whatever crazy plan he has in store." I knew it. Despite only knowing the blacksmith for a few days, something about him, perhaps the way he carried himself, was off. He knows more than he lets on, and being a common soldier for an army shouldn't have granted him access to all the information he provided. However, the true fault of his actions, the crack in his armor, was when he garnered no reaction to seeing Fedir. Only a man devoid of life, lack of fight, would push past him with no thought. Either way, she had a mission to do. The staff was so close, and she had to find a way to succeed. Everyone was counting on her, and pulling their own weight. Zoma had to pay, but she wasn't going to be bullheaded like before, pushing herself beyond her limits. She needed her friends to make it happen. "Is there anything I can do to have it?" "I can show you the nice fairy." Her words were meek with her arms open, hoping it would work. Her eyes squint and her smile is nervous. "You're an idiot. That is something Isamu would say," she tells herself. The fairy waves a dismissive hand, scoffing at her suggestion. "Not even potential love can change my mind. My heart is already set. Those ungrateful humans destroyed what belonged to our mother. With their recklessness, it took ages to fix what was left of the staff. Have you ever lost something you held close in memory of your family? I have." She pulls out from the pocket close to her heart the dented pendant. The seated fairy leans in, looking upon Aziza's saddened face. "This pendant belonged to my parents. I spent years searching for them, only to find this in their stead. It's all I have left of them." She holds out the pendant. "How about a trade? My pendant for your staff. We both give up something we had to fix when broken to pieces." "You're a strange girl," she answered, her face cold and serious. "Why trade away something you spent years of your life yearning for? Would you go against the wishes of your family? I used to believe reuniting the pieces together would bring me comfort or peace, but none came. Instead, I sought revenge. I wanted Zoma dead no matter the cost. It was thanks to a dear friend for teaching me the value of seeing beyond dented tin. My family from beyond are still held close without this pendant. Wouldn't you say the same? And this friend of yours, who are they? Family, along with my other 2 friends. Genuine people who I can confide in, learn from, and be true to. Then the staff you seek is for them? For us. I'm not alone. I never have been. The fairy smiles along with Aziza. I like the truth and confidence in your words. I don't know the kind of kid you were, but I can tell you have matured. Perhaps if the heroes against Zoma had the same feelings as you, maybe things could have turned out differently. She places her foot behind the box and pushes it forward. You have a deal. Your pendant for my staff. Thank you, Aziza said, walking towards the chest. She kneels down to the top, and magic sparkles flow around it, slowly raising the lid to reveal the staff. The staff is a deep ocean blue with a sapphire gem atop its end. It is as tall as her, but incredibly light and durable. From the gemstone, a faint, peaceful sound of rain droplets emit. She looks down at her pendant at the palm of her hand. The smile of her parents when she first received it entered her mind. Their words echo. We love you, Aziza. Hold this close to your heart whenever you feel sad. But remember, we will always be near your heart. I know now, Mom and Dad. I love you too, she whispered, bringing the pendant to her heart one last time before sealing it away in the empty box. A haunting roar quakes the lone chamber. The room shakes violently and the banners fall from the wall. Aziza spins around to the entrance to hear cackling approaching. The fairy shoots from her chair, standing beside Aziza. A light shines around her hand, soon fading to reveal a silver bow. What's going on? Aziza clamored, reaching for her brittle daggers. Zoma has grown aware. He knows of your plan. A cackling demon from the outside flies in, swinging its spiked whip across the ground, ripping apart the flowers. She aims her bow at the demon, and an arrow of light appears. She fires, and it zips through the air like a streak of lightning, dissolving the monster in a holy light. Your time is running short, she shouted, drawing another light arrow. The Franticor is headed to wherever the relics have been assembled. I will hold off the demons as long as I can. You must hurry. More cackling demons swoop into the room. Their yellow eyes turn a piercing red upon sight. They point their whips at them, communicating to each other through horrendous laughs. Aziza holds close her daggers, eyes focused, stance ready. I won't leave you to die, she replied, gritting her teeth at the monsters. The fairy sticks her hand to Aziza, and a yellow barrier forms around her. It grows more opaque by the second. The fairy has a forced, saddened smile. You will need your fairy friend to wield its power. It's a shame I won't be able to meet that friend of yours and hand it to them myself. Put in a good word for me, though, would you? Aziza screams, and reckless slamming of her weapons cannot break through the barrier, and she watches as the fairy's arrows shoot across the room, slowly getting swarmed by the overwhelming demons. The light fully engulfs Aziza, and she disappears. Chapter 50. Hotaru takes another breather, sitting on an unstable stool, wiping her sweaty face. She has removed her thick layered armor and replaced it with a light tunic and trousers, common apparel she used to wear during the summers in Alihan. Even after several minutes, the intense heat from the forge still radiates throughout the enclosed room. The forge is more of a mess than the second floor of Takeshi's home. Along with weapons and armor scattered around the floor, there are also various smithing tools with them, most of which are badly damaged or in poor condition, like hammers with cracked handles or blades with chipped edges. Hotaru looks over to Takeshi with concern for his living habits. While she is exhausted due to the heat, Takeshi remains full of life as he looks over to the new blade he crafted, still adorning the cloak blocking his face. It has been a day since the others left, with Takeshi working non-stop to a surprising success. The blade is a silvery white from the orichalcum, and the comfortable bronze hilt has accents of gold. In between is a flat golden guard, granting the sword a regal design, fitting for its name. The remainder of the material was used for the shield that lays atop the table in front of her. While white to begin with, Takeshi finished his work by painting the shield blue, with a unique symbol which he claims was worn by Ortega himself. Even after all that, he wasn't finished. He took time forging Aziza's spare daggers he claims to last far better compared to the shoddy material of weapons used by the people of this land. He also tinkered Isamu's claws, sharpening its edges with a whetstone. How he works without rest is like a machine, clear why they kept him around to aid Ortega's army. Hotaru has yet to gain the stamina to work for more than a couple of hours. In her head, she ponders if without her blood, if she would have even been a mere recruit. She peeks over at him once more, watching as he carefully scans the blade, the Sword of Kings. His energy, however, isn't infinite. She can easily see the loss of light through his soul-drained eyes, all which must be pushing him now for an old mission that must be finished. You must have taken a long time before you became recognized as a legendary smith, Hotaru said. I would hardly refer to myself as that, Takeshi said, keeping his eyes on the blade. I have more experience using weapons than making them. Like a gun? She asked, looking onto the table to see his flintlock pistol besides the shield. Not quite. It was a gift, in case I went without a sword. He takes a quick glance around his forge. Most of what you see now would shatter at a thought. She said it would make me stand out from a nameless soldier, though she was always threatening to kill our leader if he dared try anything funny. Hotaru rolls her eyes with a sigh. Sounds a lot like how we first met Maria. That's her. You're serious? She questioned. The gun belonged to Maria? He nodded. She was a reliable asset to Ortega's army, and I don't think she would have given us a second thought without a bit of convincing from Pimiko. Those two first met and battled it out at Portuga, with Pimiko managing to squeeze out a victory. It was quite the spectacle. Since then, she made a truce to serve under her as a sign of respect, though she was loyal to Portuga's navy. Maybe when I get the chance I should see her. How is she, anyway? She sails the sea with her crew as pirates. From what I was told, once the army was defeated, she lost her position and ship. She forgone all hope, having us aid her to recover a ship that her country took back, seeking to sail the seas free until doom arrived. He releases a quiet breath, the same exhausted breath as hearing of Pimiko. The Vento Eterno. How unfortunate. She always spoke of her ship and crew as an extension of herself. I couldn't even imagine the loss she must have felt. Luckily, that's not how the story ends. I helped her take back her ship, though breaking into a royal ship warehouse still weighs heavy on my mind. She later brought me to Lanson to find the Thunderbolt sword. That's when you got your electric powers as Ortega did? She nods. What was that like? She groans. Painful. As you and Grandma say, my father went through the same thing. Honestly, I can't see him struggling like I do. Every time I use it, I end up striking the ground around my enemies, causing chaos to my friends. It hurts to hold it too, which doesn't help my accuracy. Takeshi laughs. Your father would say the same thing. He was practically running around as a human lightning rod from how much he struck himself, on top of smelling like his own cooking. In fact, he was given that bulky helmet you carry as a form of protection. Nevertheless, it took him years to master his magic, so don't beat yourself up. She looks at the helmet, which sits on a lone chair in the corner of the room near the entrance with her armor underneath. So that's why it's as big as it is. Hotaru thought. It is hard to picture my father as someone who is clumsy. He always wore a face of knowing, like he had all the answers to the world. But if Grandma was with him like me, then he must have been the same way. I wonder what he would have thought of me. Would he be proud of how far I have come, or scolded me for the foolish mistakes I have made? Were you close to my father? She asked. We weren't friends or anything. We only ever spoke when in the shop. I mostly knew him from the sidelines, learning of him from afar. He had plenty of friends, such as yourself, that he fell back on. He cared for them to the point he would risk just about anything to keep them safe, even his own life. You were friends with Grandma, right? That's a word you could use to describe our relationship. Personally, I prefer family. She was a great ruler who cared deeply for her people, much like her son, a bit hard-headed like him too. Once she had a mission she needed to fulfill, it was to be done. Out of all of us, she has sacrificed the most. Not only losing her son and husband, but the pain in her eyes when she took the purple orb signified the last of her spirit. She was from that point a walking, breathing corpse. What she would have to do could never be forgiven. She knew that, and accepted it. He lifts from his rusty stool, sword in hand. He takes it to the covered table of tools, shoving them off haphazardly, gently places it beside the shield. Pimiko must have told you about having no doubts or hesitations, to be ready for anything. Once you take up these arms and reach Zoma, you will be struck with the same questions as Ortega did. What I ask is this, Hotaru. Can you finish your journey, complete your path without regret or second thought? She looks up towards his covered face. His eyes glint behind the darkness. I thought I knew the answer to that question when I first set out from Alihan. We all did, but things have changed. No longer I strive forth as a hero for the duty of my blood, but instead for friends and family that live in the two worlds. I fight, for I wish them joyous lives free from tyranny, just as my father did. A smile reveals itself. He had the same resolve as you. However, things have changed. I believe you shall succeed where he failed. Take the sword, Hotaru. He steps away as she reaches over to the fine hilt. She lifts it with ease, examining the reflective material. The sword is light and flows through the air like wind with every test swing. The edge is razor sharp, capable of cutting through the finest of steel. Strangely, at the hilt is a static she has grown familiar with. The Sword of Kings is no ordinary blade. You can unleash your thunder magic and store its power into the sword. Once enough power is charged, you can unleash the most powerful spell known throughout the land, Giga Gash. With it, nothing will stand in your path, though you mustn't grow reliant on it. You still have to master the spell and consider the magic in your blood. We will test out its capabilities in due time. With it, you won't have to worry about hurting yourself anymore. Two familiar voices sound off in the distance. They are joyous and oblivious to the eerie silence around them, but she doesn't worry. Seems like they were able to get along, she told herself, thankful things were starting to look up. Hope was coming back. So after this is all done, you plan on spreading tales of our adventure? I mean, that's neat and all, but how are you supposed to write it, let alone see it? Better to just tell it from memory, holding an empty book. I will likely have someone help me write it, but I haven't thought much about it. All I know is that these people deserve to know the truth. I will say though, being known as one of the heroes sounds like quite a big deal. Maybe I can help you out, Fedir. You know, tell the good folks my side of the story. I'm trying to tell the truth. Remember? I can only imagine some of the fables you would mention. The door to the house bursts open, and they spin to the entrance of the forge. The two voices continue to speak among each other with high spirits. A smile spreads across Hotaru's face. She coughs loudly to draw their attention, hiding her peeking smile. You two know we're working here. Isamu and Fedir carefully step in, avoiding the traps of tools on the floor, yet bumping into the nearby chair, knocking the helmet that pinned Hotaru's armor to the floor. Her scowl pierces into Isamu. Sorry about that, Isamu said. We were just catching up. Catching up about what? Nothing important. Just places we want to travel. You know Fedir. He just has to visit the Cathedral of Lanson. Don't even think about making this about me, Fedir rebutted. As I recall, you've been spouting nonsense about seeing Damdara. Why Damdara? Hotaru asked. He chuckles, turning his face away from her. No reason. I heard the town was a beautiful sight. She glares at him. From Fedir? Never mind that, he said, looking down at Hotaru's hands. So that is the Sword of Kings. She raises it up. Isamu's eyes light up with the blade. Just finished it. I can sense an electrical current coming from it, Fedir added. It has a unique power compared to other swords. Takeshi said it would be enough to stop Zoma. Finally, Isamu shouted. Once Aziza gets back, we can put an end to this. It felt like only moments ago those two were against each other. I don't know what transpired at that tower, but I'm happy for what has happened. All we need is Aziza now. Her thoughts suddenly silence. Something big closes in from the distance. A bellowing roar shakes the building. Melodic and increasing tremors ring the steel and iron equipment on the ground. The heat around her body vanishes as her heart sinks to her stomach. The familiar, horrifying sounds draw close. Takeshi moves with haste to the front door. Though his face isn't seen, it's easy to tell his feelings as his hands tremble. I thought we had more time, he mumbled, spinning back towards them. Zoma knows we're here. The Franticor is coming. You said he wouldn't show up until all the pieces were together, Isamu argued. He must have learned from our last attempt. Now he won't let us have the chance. Aziza is out there with that beast. We sent her to her death. He stomps to the door, but Takeshi blocks him. Calm down, kid. You will only get yourself killed. We have to retreat to Cantiln. Not while Aziza is out there. Hotaru butts in. We have the Sword of Kings. Can't we slay the Franticor? It's too dangerous. That wasn't my question, Takeshi. She holds out the blade, revealing its blinding shine. This blade has the power to slay the Franticor. He is reluctant with his answer. Yes, but it won't be easy. This will be unlike any fight before. The Franticor is a demon born in the depths of hell. Caught once in its wrath and you're dead. She takes a deep breath. You must hold no doubts, no hesitation. Those were her words. No regrets or second thoughts. Those were yours. Let me prove to you, to Grandma, the strength and courage behind my new resolve. Using my own words against me is a low tactic. But you're right. I will go to Cantiln to gather reinforcements. I have faith in you kids that success is within your grasp. Go forth then. Take the claw and daggers. Bring an end to Zoma. For all of us. He reaches down and hands Hotaru her armor from the chair. Thank you, Takeshi, for your help. Now it's our turn to return the favor. Quickly, she equips her armor, hopefully for the last time. With haste, she reaches over to grab the shield off the table. Heavier than the sword, but manageable to wield. She glances over at Isamu to see his eyes fired up, ready for battle. Fedir is confident in his stance, to follow Hotaru towards the imposing danger. Isamu puts his reinforced claw in hand, the daggers around his waist, his smirk confident. The three of them, proud with unrelenting spirit and vigor, march out the door towards the enclosing tremors. Once they are gone and the Franticor's tremors grow, Takeshi grabs what is necessary for the trip to Cantiln. Years it has been since he was behind its walls, but he cannot reminisce. Now was his moment for redemption. He reaches down to Hotaru's helmet she left behind, slowly bringing it to his face. How long has it been since I have seen this piece? Looks like time has run out once more. Again I will fight, but this time for my family. Chapter 51. Alone it stood at the center of Zoma's plains. His castle looms in isolation, overwatching the approaching beast. The Franticor's lion head bellowed with a blazing deep fire in its mouth, identical in color to its mane. Whipping and hissing of the black snake tail echo throughout the land, its crescent fangs dripping with green acid. The emerald dragon wings atop its back flapping to push the hidden slimes out from its path, with its 6 sharp claws stamping forward. They stare at the towering beast, hiding in what little foliage stands, avoiding its blinding gaze. This is the first time Isamu has seen the monster of the plains, and what the citizens said of it are true. He cannot begin to fathom how to defeat a creature of such size. No weak points, no blind spots. Even an army of 1,000 men wouldn't match its strength. None of that mattered, however. The Franticor was simply another step to reach Zoma. Nothing could stand in his path, knowing victory was within grasp. "Watch out for its eyes," Hotaru warned. "If spotted, hands will come out from the ground and hold you down." Isamu withdraws the golden claw from his overhanging cast. He stares at the golden sheen. "I hear you loud and clear," he answered, attaching the claw to his hand, flexing the fingers. "I will provide support," Fidir said. "I can't sense anything else out there, and I will deal with the hands." "It's nice to have support again. Only so much my strikes can do alone," Isamu said, and Fidir nodded in his direction. Hotaru draws her sword, her legs squatted, ready to pounce. "Let's bring this beast down and find Aziza." Together they spring out from the shrub, weapons in hand, spells ready. As they close the gap, the Franticor locks its eyes on Isamu. Its yellow gaze switches to a fearsome red. Muddy hands, mixed with dirt and ash, reach out from the dry soil of the earth, holding him still, their cold hands marking his clothes with dirty stains. He flails his body around, but can't escape as more hands latch onto him. The fire in the Franticor's mouth builds, and he locks eyes with the blinding flame. A harsh wind from nowhere, sharp and swift like a sword slash, blows across the plains, severing the fingers of the muddy hands as they are caught in the storm, loosening their grip. The fire is belched, and he dives out of its path as the hands are melted to cinders. "A little close for comfort, don't you think?" Isamu shouted. Fidir aims his hand towards Isamu. A green light wraps around him. A fast-flowing energy like lightning pulses in his veins. Better late than never, right? The red, piercing gaze catches him again, and hands reappear. However, Fidir's spell takes into effect. He avoids their grabs with ease, outrunning the gaze of the beast. He runs towards the front legs of the beast where Hotaru is stabbing her sword into the thick pelt, yet leaves no cuts upon its fur. "We need another plan," he announced, with him picking her up as hands approach them. He reaches below the face where another harsh wind blows. However, the path is upwards, spinning in a circle, scooping up dirt, grass, and fallen branches, forming a fierce tornado, caught in the eye of the storm. Its sheer strength blows all approaching hands away, sucking in the mud, making the tornado unclear. It rises and they shoot towards the head of the lion, its eyes trying to scan past the grime of the tornado. It fires another stream of flames at the base of the squall, where it consumes the flames, incinerating the land beneath. The tornado is pushed away by another torrent of wind, and left in its place is nothing but ash. Hotaru and Isamu fly through the air as the fierce fire reaches the top. They fall onto the thick pelt on its back. The fur is scorching on their hands, and she pierces her sword into its skin as an anchor. Finally, a roar of anguish belts out. Damage has been done. She lifts her holy sword, tearing it back from deep in its skin, leaving a spill of light in its place, going for another stab, but a rattle halts her attempt. The snake leans its head forward, baring its toxic fangs. Hotaru carries her sword close, holding firm as the violent wind from the dragon's wings flap. Isamu holds his claw ready and stares down the serpent. He rushes forward with speed, evading its snaps. He dodges another bite, grabbing the neck. The snake hisses, whipping its body around, the loud cracks booming in the sky. Hotaru runs forward to help him, careful to not fall, but with another whip of the snake, he flies off the back of the monster. His scream pierces along with the horrors of the lion's roars and snake's cracks across the sky. She glances off the back to find him sprawled on the ground, twitching his body as he rises. She snaps back to the snake, its head mere feet from her face, its breath like death. It lunges forward, shooting poison from its fangs. She rolls out of its path, and it sinks its fangs into the back. The Franticore roars again. She runs to the neck of the snake, slashing her holy blade with a war cry to match the chaos. Its tough scales are resilient, but not enough. The louder her screams, the further her blade is driven, more light pouring out from the exposed wound. The beast lifts up and she slides down as the snake hisses in pain. She crashes to the ground and the wings on its back create a forceful wind, ripping the roots from the grass, blowing the logs of fallen trees into the nearby lake. She lifts her head up from the ground. Isamu is trapped by the hands while he is lying on the floor. Fedir is unable to conjure a spell as he is unstable from the monster's turbulence. The red glare catches Isamu and the fire builds in its mouth. Takeshi's words ring in her head. You can unleash your thunder magic and store its power into the sword. Once enough power is charged, you can unleash the most powerful spell known throughout the land, Giga Gash. With it, nothing will stand in your path. But how? She thought. I must try. I can't hesitate. She conjures a thunder spell in her hands, the intense electricity coursing through her veins. The black clouds above boom and spark with a blinding light. She raises the sword with a shout leaving her lips. Giga Gash! A dagger flies through the air, cutting the webbing of the dragon's wings. The wind has weakened as the Franticore's weakening roar fills the air. Fedir focuses on the sound around him. The blazing fire, the sharp wind, the running water, the cries of the earth, but something quiet is hidden among the disarray, running light footsteps. The evil that is cold and smells of decay and death floats around at all times, with two oddities standing out, a hot red aura of fire, Isamu, and a cool blue calm of spirit, Hotaru. However, a third is near, a familiar pure white, Aziza. He drowns out the chaos and closes in. Its footsteps are near the red, springing around the swarming darkness which tries to swallow them whole. The air is sweltering. This feeling is the same. Fedir conjures a cool spell through his bones, his soul. Things will be different. They have to. Insulate! He shouted, pointing his hands forward. A cold, thick air, fortified like castle walls, is placed against the blazing force. The two fragile auras hide behind it like a blanket in the night. Both the heat of destruction and the cold of sanctuary clash against each other, the malice soon overtaking the air once more, leaving nothing of the prior safety in its wake. A brief moment of silence swarms the air. The taste and smell of ash, the twisting cries of the earth. It's all coming back. The day that haunts him. Soft steps accompany a quiet gust. A gentle warmth closes in with incredible energy surrounding it, like a raging typhoon. A voice of confidence and peace sound. Her voice. Thanks for the spell, Fedir. Without it, I don't think I could have saved Isamu in time. His heart beats with intensity. He was successful. The taste of tears overwhelm him, knowing the voice. The aura and the tears are real. I'm so glad you're safe, he whimpered. This smoke bomb won't hide us forever. A soft hand takes his and the great power from before flows through his body. It is powerful, but not corrupt. His soul feels like he's flowing through an ocean of light blessed by the goddess. The person I met said only you can use the staff. We're counting on you to get it done. He grazes his hands on the shaft of the staff, touching a sharp metallic object of power at its end. He raises the staff and focuses in, listening to the deep calls it cries, echoing its incantation in his soul. When rain and sun, the twain do meet, the rain's bow shall a bridge complete. A droplet of water smacks his head. The smoke from her bomb fades, revealing herself before the Franticore. The rain Fedir's summon grows stronger, causing the hundreds of hands upon the battlefield to melt away. Once they fade into the earth, a light shines in the distance. Hotaru rises from the ground, her waist glowing bright like the sun. Hotaru reaches into her pocket to pull out the sunstone. The light shines even brighter than before, forcing Aziza to shield her eyes. despite the long gap between them. Its light beams into the sky, towards Zoma's castle that sits alone near the lake. The white gleam cycles through bright, vibrant colors in the sky. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Mesmerized by the shining colors, they drop back down, building a rainbow bridge across the tar-like lake, reaching to the door of Zoma's castle. "Look!" Isamu shouted. "At the head." They turn their gaze back to the Franticor. At the center of its forehead is a glowing slit, revealed by the rainbow's light. Hotaru runs to Aziza, with Isamu joining shortly after. "Looks like that's the spot to strike. Are you ready to try out that sword?" She nods towards Isamu, who has furrowed eyes, but a determined smile, though he was seconds away from getting scorched. "I will take on the snake. The head is on you two," Aziza said, rushing headlong into the fight. She darts through the sloppy, fresh mud, rain pouring heavy. The Franticor has its red eyes on her. It shoots torrents of fire, which she dodges with ease, sliding underneath its body. There the injured snake awaits. They stand off, staring into each other's eyes. Acid drips down its fangs. A smirk spreads across her face, holding in her possession the weapons Isamu had to give. She drops a smoke bomb, enveloping herself in the shadows. She throws knives out from the smoke, pelting them into the scales of the serpent. Some fly past, others bounce off. Either way, her plan was working. It lunges its head into the smoke where she jumps onto its head, then stabbing into the underbelly of the main body to gain a height advantage. The beast bellows and the snake with haste lunges forward, again sinking its fangs into the pelt of its underbelly. Its eyes meet hers as she flips off the dagger which held her, kicking off the belly, landing on the serpent's neck with her legs wrapped around it to hold still. She takes her new dagger. It shimmers with shining sharp steel from the sheath of her waist, cutting across the exposed wound of light Hotaru left behind, finishing the job and severing the head from its body, quickly squirming before being taken by the light. The beast lowers its head as the tail fades into light, its face lowered to the ground. Hotaru readies her sword. A red light swarms her. Her blood pumps quickly. Immense strength flows through her. She screams as she runs forward. However, it opens its mouth and she glares into the depths of its hell-like flames. The fire is sweltering, forcing her shield up as the flames reach further out. A shout from above overpowers the crackles of its blazing fire. Isamu springs off its lowered back, driving his knees to the dome of its head, shutting its mouth as his knee connects. "Now!" he shouted. The wound was in place. She cries like a warrior, driving her sword through the slit. The beast of the plains unleashes a final roar as a light absorbs it, leaving nothing of the terror behind. They catch their breaths, but there's no time to rest. Cackling echoes in the night, rattling of bones and stomping accompany them. They huddle together as skeleton dragons and short flying demons equipped with spiked whips swarm them. They raise their weapons, but their stamina has been depleted. "Head to the castle, Hotaru," Isamu ordered. "Are you crazy? And just leave you here? We have it covered, but you can't waste any more energy on these small fry. We will join you once this is done. Grandma's words keep ringing in my head. If I want to succeed, I must push aside my differences. They have more than proved their capabilities," Hotaru told herself. "Don't take long," she said, running towards the rainbow in the distance. She finally makes her way over the rainbow, out of sight from Isamu, and he takes a breath. Another wave stood before them, and despite the fact, he kept his humor intact. "You think this one was too big of a bite? Well, I can't see how many. I sense they outnumber us by several dozen." "Wow, don't you have great awareness?" Aziza chuckles despite the swarming danger. A soothing sound he hasn't heard in some time. It was comforting. A reason to not fall behind or abandon those close to him. Something he lost sight of for what felt like an era. "Good to have you back, Aziza," Isamu said, "though we could have made it a bit less stressful." She shakes her head. "This I expected, but to hear you two again, I worried it would never return. So I'm glad to be back too, even if this is the hand we were dealt." Isamu sticks forward his golden claw, waiting for a cackling demon to close in, but they stop. "Something is coming," Fedir said, "and there's a lot of them." Aziza points out in the distance. "It's a giant light." Isamu stares out at the ball of light coming towards them. A smirk spreads across his face. His eyes furrow with energy to fight. Looks like the cavalry finally arrived. Zoma's castle lies just ahead. She steps forward from the rainbow's end towards the bleak drawbridge. Rusty chains rattle loudly throughout the gloomy night as the demon's lair welcomes her. The drawbridge crashes down, making its path, its end in complete darkness, only revealing a decrepit red carpet that greets her. Hotaru, donning the legendary equipment worn by heroes of old, takes hold of the hilt of her sword and raises it. Once released from its sheath, its holy shine pierces light like an arrow through the darkness, revealing the decrepit red carpet that welcomes her in. Though the path before her is large and intimidating, holding many secrets within its chambers, she remains undaunted by its presence, remembering Takeshi and Pimiko's words. With a war cry that echoes throughout the land, announcing to Zoma of his coming demise, she charges forward into the castle depths. Chapter 52. The final door is within reach. Isamu, Aziza, and Fedir have returned from their battles, standing beside her, stronger than ever. She looks upon her sword. It courses with electricity, alighting the dim room like a torch. So that was Gigagash. The power I felt was immaculate. Those demons standing before me were wiped out in a single strike. She pondered as she grazed her spiked hair, no longer limited by its immense power. She sheathes the holy blade and pushes the massive door open with the others helping. Its loud creak echoes further inside. Deep ahead is complete darkness. No walls or monsters await, only a thick walkway. Regardless, they hold no fear, only resolve, gazing deep into the darkness, unafraid of what lies ahead. It's been nearly a year since the cave to Dreamer's Tower where their biggest worry were bunnicorns. Everyone has grown to be fearless in the eyes of danger. "I can only hear water," Fedir announced. "It sounds like a river, somewhere below. I'm guessing that is why there are barriers here, to keep from falling, or maybe they don't want anything climbing back up," Isamu replied, moving to the edge of the walkway inside with Hotaru joining him. She peeks over the ledge to find the same result. However, Fedir's intuition, like always, was right. It's faint, but the sound of water is sloshing about in the depths of the abyss. There is no toxic scent like the moat around Baramos' castle, yet the scent of sulfur is stronger than ever. Isamu looks away from the edge, refocusing on the path ahead. His claw he uses as a beacon, pointing forward with its golden sheen standing out. Aziza follows him closely, with Hotaru hanging beside Fedir as he floats. Each step, their footsteps echo louder, yet the water rushes, slowly drowning out their steps. A light shatters the darkness. Two floating orbs coated with blinding flames synchronize as they light the hallway, activating farther in with each second. The group halted in their tracks, huddling around each other, back to back, waiting for something to strike. They pause, glancing around. They stand in no room. The stone bridge connects from one side of the castle to the other. In between are mountains of nature covered in ash. The mountains surround them like walls, with the river below flowing out through an opening in the side of the mountains, pooling together into a lake. The final sets of orbs alight, revealing the cause for ash. A towering volcano making the mountains around look like hills in comparison, spewing black smoke, staining the land beneath. The door they came from creaks slowly to a close, echoing with a haunt in the visible night. The other end, a large figure awaits them. Hotaru locks eyes with the hideous creature, its skin decayed, devoid of life. It couldn't be. Baramos? The bipedal monster laughs, flaunting its clean orange and purple robe.
"You were a fool to step into my father's lair."
"How are you alive?" Isamu shouted. sticking his clawed fist forward. He laughs again.
To simply put it, Father has no faith in you. He believes you are not worthy of facing him, something we both agree on. What transpired at my castle was a pathetic display of my capabilities. However, I ain't the weakened monster from before.
He flexes his clawed talons. None are missing like before. His robe isn't stained with blood. Though his pale face is flushed like a sickness devouring him, there is strength and confidence oozing from him.
Can't say I remember meeting the other two,
Baramos said, his grim smile revealing his grimy teeth.
One of which seems to be a fairy of all things. I thought my father wiped them out ages ago. He must have missed one.
I've had it with your talk, Isamu interjected. I bested you once and I will triumph again.
You speak a big game for someone who resembles my position in our last fight. You believe the results to be the same despite the change in roles? For I am the strong, and you the weak.
He places his sharp claws together. An orb of fire builds every moving moment.
You will perish in this land, and then I will overthrow my father, taking his place as the Dark Lord.
Hotaru jumps in front of Isamu with her shield planted, covering her torso and legs. Only her eyes watching the spell grow are uncovered. Insulate! Vidir shouted with a mirror-like wall standing between the two. It's transparent like a window, yet thick like fortified walls of a castle, each layer shining forward with shimmering colors like the Rainbow Bridge. It lasted long enough against the world-consuming flames of the Franticor for Aziza to mount a successful rescue. But will it be enough? Baramos's hysterical laughs have her thinking otherwise. If broken, there is no room to escape, only a watery abyss. Vidir holds his hands high, releasing the spell forward. Isamu and Aziza hide behind her small frame. How would the goddess's shield hold up against the wrath of the Archfiend? His spell is released with an echoing scream of hate. The fireball is larger than anything before. The time is nigh to test their defense. She closes her eyes, waiting for a sound to erupt. She waited, and waited. It never came. A gasp leaves the lips of the friends behind her. Her eyes open to a forged sword of orichalcum slicing through the attack, disintegrating it like a feeble gust to a candlelight. A person in a familiar cloak stands in front of her. Baramos has an expression of shock as Hotaru does, reeling his head back as if the attack was reflected.
How is that possible?
Baramos spat out.
Wait, I know that sword.
A chuckle leaves the hood of the brown cloak. The person of strong stature pushes back their covering, revealing their long black hair. Hotaru takes a breath. The sharp eyes, thick mustache, chiseled and hardened scars. The clothing belonged to Takeshi, but the face belonged to a dead man, alive and well.
Ortega,
Baramos shouted.
How are you still standing before me? This must be an illusion created by my father to punish me.
I am no mere image, Baramos, Ortega yelled back, his gruff heroic and proud. I walk among the living in the flesh.
You fell into the depths of the volcano. What I am seeing cannot be possible. How did you survive?
Baramos panicked, his eyes filled with dread. I could ask you the same thing. He readies his identical sword to Hotaru's. Another sword of kings? Yet we both stand. Our battle ended on a sour note, or rather, a pathetic display of my capabilities. Just as you do, I intend to finish the task I was destined to do. Hotaru looks up to her father in shock. Is it really you, Dad? Very much so, but we don't have time to discuss. Your goal is to stop Zoma. I will take care of Baramos. He looks to his opponent. What says you, fiend? You fight me. No allies or outside factors. The best warrior wins. One of us shall eternally rest upon these stained stones of war. He laughs.
So that is what you wish. You crawl out from the pits of hell licking your wounds, leading these children to my domain? To have a rematch? You are a fool, Ortega.
He squints his eyes at the old hero, claws positioned for another spell.
However, I share your sentiment. What kind of Dark Lord would I be to back down from a challenge? I accept your duel, Ortega. I will tear you apart and display your mangled corpse to the weak pawns who still follow under your banner.
I would like to see you try. From his waist, he pulls the bulky helmet Hotaru clung onto. Firmly, it fits on his head. It has been polished, now shining with a silver sheen. The two horns on the sides cracked yet tough, still holding strong. Before, Hotaru was not only the man she looked up to as her father, but the hero of Japan. Baramos lunges forward in a fast sprint like a lightning bolt. His claws clash with Ortega's blade. He pushes the Archfiend away only for him to lock weapons again. They ram into each other like apex predators of nature, fighting over who shall lead the pack. Baramos is pushed back again, this time firing pitiful spells forward that Ortega cuts through like a butcher's knife, cleaving through soft ingredients. We have to go now, Isamu ordered, grabbing Hotaru's attention away from the fight. Our fight is with Zoma. We stay here and we only get hurt. Her father clashes steel again. The struggle on his face is as clear as day. His words carry a fight of 1,000 men, but his age has made him rusty. His reactions are slow. His eyes are dark and sunken. His legs tremble as they hold him up with each pushback. But Isamu is right. No doubts, no hesitations, she thought. Chapter 53. Zoma, Hotaru cried out, sword in hand. She could sense his presence in the smothering darkness. They have entered the unholy sanctum of the castle, the heart of evil. The bridge from the outside continues on into the darkness, though nearby the liquid swarming them is close to the lip of the thin and narrow walkway. The strange foul liquid is a purple slush with hundreds of bones floating above the surface. From their structure, they are not human.
The hero finally arrives.
A bone-chilling voice echoed from the deep, cold depths further in.
Allow me to give you a proper welcome, Hotaru.
Orbs, like the ones from outside, alight in the corners of the room, slowly moving up away from the entrance from which they came. Each orb that lights reveals a stone human statue sitting atop the ooze. The statues are lifelike. The people adorn stone replicas of her sword and shield in their hands, their faces filled with terror as they scream. Each orb after another, revealing another grim statue, starting out as a few, then several, then dozens. Men and women, young and old with spiked hair. The final orb sparks at the end of the bridge, revealing a giant stone throne, broken and stained with blood. Hotaru's heart races and the others beside her must be feeling the same thing. There, the Dark Lord sits, leaning casually back, his black-nailed claw rubbing his sharp chin with a sinister grin of razor teeth like a shark. He wears a robe like Fedir with giant palindromes, drenched completely in a deep blue that sways with an aura akin to the mirror-like spell. His eyes are pitch black, glaring straight ahead, while at the forehead where horns like a bull sit at the sides, a massive eye twitches madly. He rises from his throne, spreading his covered arms. His wingspan and height are twice her size.
Here you are at last. Here at the place of sacrifice.
Place of sacrifice? Hotaru muttered.
Your confusion doesn't strike as surprising, for you are not the first.
Hotaru, I can sense dim life all around us. Their horrified screams are deafening, Fedir said. It's the same thing I felt with Aziza. The statues, they can't be. She looks upon the statues. Nearly 100 stand.
Oh, but they are, Hotaru.
Zoma answered confidently, her heart sinking to her stomach, her hands shaking the goddess's arms, unable to keep them outward from her body like using a blanket to cover herself from a lurking monster in a child's mind.
Your blood is the source of my power, every descendant, foolish enough to fuel my fire. You are no different, following mindlessly into my web.
You forgot one thing, Isamu shouted, taking the lead. Hotaru isn't alone.
You speak as if your numbers grant confidence.
He steps forward. His talon black nails scratch the cobblestone beneath. His soulless eyes glance toward each person.
Other than the hero, all of you are mere scraps to be served to richen the soil of my world. Even the goddess's loyal servants don't stand a chance against me.
Isamu raises his claw. Baramos underestimated our might as well, like father, like son.
Comparing me to that worthless sack of flesh is feigning ignorance to the inevitable doom standing before you.
He spreads his arms again, his sinister grin taunting.
My power is beyond parallel to all living things. I am no simple monster. I am Zoma, ruler of Oblivion. Your lives shall be sacrificed to my glory. All shall despair. All shall kneel.
Isamu darts forward with Aziza following close behind him. Fidir and Hotaru stay behind. Fidir casting spells of speed and power to the assaulting team, Hotaru flinging fireballs with him. Zoma swings his outstretched claws forward. A cold fills the room, growing rapidly. From behind his throne, a blizzard of ice shoots out and pushes Isamu and Aziza. They shiver as they attempt to hold still, the fireballs petering out in the brutal snowstorm. Fidir flies forward, blocking the area between them with a glass wall of magic. The cold dwindles. They push forward at a pitiful speed due to the harsh cold wind. Zoma stops them again, placing his hands forward, summoning 4 thick spires of ice from the ground, traveling quickly towards them. The ice is moving fast, and soon we will be forced to leap from its path. If only we had another wall to stop it. Her mind clicks like a snap of a finger. A faint memory of a fire pillar from long ago consumes her. Her eyes spring open and she rushes over to Fidir. Fidir, remember when Isamu was getting chased by bees? I do, but what is your point? Moments pass with the cracking ice echoing in the hollow halls. His hand is holding the barrier strong. However, he slowly withdraws his hand, turning his head towards her. You mean for the ice? But that was an accident created from a multitude of factors. An accident we can recreate. All we need is to replicate what happened. Isamu cries out, looking back. We have to fall back. I don't think the barrier will hold out much longer. The ice spikes are shooting from the ground, breaking off chunks, slamming into the wall like ballista bolts. The bridge shakes with every clash, the glass-like barrier scarred with another crack for each strike. Hotaru places both hands forward. A fireball grows, shining with colors of a collapsing star. Red, yellow, blue, white. The deadly fire burns through the thick leather gloves, soon scarring the skin. Fidir follows along. His hands conjure a fireball with a brightness to cover his hands in the hot light. This is the one opportunity they have to close in. The stage has been set. Now for the pieces. Now, she ordered, releasing the giant ball of fire. It crashes through the top of the weakened wall, scorching and melting away the ice that was at the front of the barrier. Fidir's creation joins in and they absorb into each other, creating a large radiating sphere which consumes the bridge. Quickly, he followed up with another spell. The orb slowly dwindles as ice reappears, but a bright light shines in its center. A sound like a rumbling volcano echoes from its depths. Kafrizzle! Fidir shouted, unleashing the built spell. It expands and explodes like a star, scattering the fire across the room, erupting with massive destruction in a pillar of flames. Zoma is hidden by the towering flame which swallows the bridge. The ice disintegrates, leaving not even a speck of water in its place. The liquid at the edge becomes a sea of fire, melting the floating bones. What little of the barrier holds long enough to handle the brunt of the chaotic fire, finally shattering completely once the blackened stone bridge is revealed once more. Zoma is pressed against the back of his throne, his robe ripped and singed. horns blackened and blue skin covered in thick burns. Only the center of his face remains unscathed thanks to his magic cloak. Isamu and Aziza dart forward, lunging ahead like lions after a gazelle. His time was at an end. Fedir readies another spell with Hotaru calling forth a storm of black clouds which hang at the ceiling, loudly booming. However, her smile of victory fades. An evil laugh catches her off guard. His blank eyes and burnt teeth are not filled with fear, but a cruel joy. He puts his claw up and blue ripples like a disturbed ocean pulse through the air. Each pulse became stronger and stronger. They cannot keep their feet planted, soon thrown to the ground. The lights of enhanced power around Isamu and Aziza are gone, weakly groaning as they struggle to lift up, like an anvil was placed on them. Hotaru is tired, barely on her feet, and can't keep her eyes open. Her heart beats slowly, her body feebly shakes, her mind fades in and out. Am I dying? She believed. She looks over to Fedir, who is laying on the floor. Her breath quivers with terror. She holds her mouth. The weak, warm breath coats her freezing hand. His green hair no longer glows. Fedir!
I will say you caught me by surprise,
Zoma said, laughing to himself. Isamu runs forward with his claw, aiming for the skull amulet, reaching down to his chest. He casually lifts a hand, summoning ice beneath his feet, encasing his legs and holding him in place. Isamu picks at the ice with his claw, but he doesn't have the strength to crack it, let alone free himself from his icy prison.
A neat little party trick between human and fairy.
He raises the other hand. A stream of light is drawn from the statues, absorbing into his body. The wounds of his burnt flesh instantly healed as the light courses through him.
Can't say I've seen something like that in centuries.
What have you done to him? Hotaru screams. What have you done to Fedir?
No need to fret, Hotaru,
he said with satisfied joy, slowly stepping towards her.
I simply casted a spell to permanently nullify the magic from your bodies. Him being a fairy, connected closely to your goddess, is like severing the heart from the body. However, to make your passing easy on the mind, he lives. However, he has lost what makes him a fairy, now lesser than human. A hollow shell to roam the world until the goddess takes him, for even the dirt won't be satiated by his passing. I'm also afraid that your sword is just as powerless without the use of your bloodline spell.
She looks up past his large, approaching head to see the clouds have disappeared. No longer could she feel the lightning in her veins. She stands up and holds the heavy sword, but he wraps his claw around her head, blinding her. He lifts her high off the ground, slightly moving his hand to see the bloodshot eye staring at her.
It's time to join your family. You will make a fine sacrifice.
The eye narrows its sight on her. Isamu's bashing of the ice intensifies as he screams. Aziza and Fedir are laid flat on the floor. She squirms with what little strength she has, her muffled screams calling for help through his icy hand. The light in her eyes dwindle, the darkness taking her. Her sight goes black, but a calm thunder booms in the distance. An ear-rupturing sound shatters the ominous silence. His tightening grip is released, light slowly fading in as she gasps for air once released from his icy hold. He covers his eye with the hand he held her with. Something struck him, but still she couldn't feel the electricity in her blood. He snarls.
Your magic should be gone. How did you strike me?
It wasn't her who called forth the storm, a heroic voice echoed, followed by a green warm light swirling around her body as well as the others, its warmth soothing on her freezing skin. Aziza slowly lifts to her feet. With a powerful shout, Isamu shatters the ice. Zoma stares at the end of the hall, where an old battered man, cut and bruised in glimmering dented armor stands. His sword shines like the sun. Your son has been bested, Zoma, Ortega announced, stepping forward with proud stamps, though he limps. Zoma raises his hand for another wave, but a bolt of lightning strikes into his upward palm. forcing him to recoil from the pain. Their eyes meet. Zoma flinches away from Hotaru as if his glare were like a volley of arrows, stabbing into his chest. Ortega moves to Hotaru, placing his sword next to her. Giga Gash will ensure us victory, Hotaru. Grab your sword and summon forth the spell. I can't. You can. I will help, he said, helping her on her feet, crossing his sword with hers. The black clouds boom above. Streaks of lightning are absorbed into the swords. She can feel the static. It is faint, but truly there. Her sword slowly changes, trying to catch up to her father's level of energy. Zoma lunges forward, swiping his claw to stop them. However, his claw is caught as it swung down. Isamu, like the barrier, has his golden claw locked with his, blocking him from proceeding further. Zoma is shocked by the expression Isamu grants. Like moments ago, it reflected his. Aziza springs between them, pulling forth the sphere of light, its blinding shine forcing everyone to look away. He writhes, reeling back. His blue, freezing aura disappears, transforming his robe from blue to orange, his pupils revealed, bloodshot, and like the center eye, they show panic. With haste, he unleashes the ice from the ground with spires of sharp sickles of ice barreling towards them. The spell of unstoppable lightning isn't finished. Her magic is too weak to complete it. Please be enough. Please save us. A unique crack sounds throughout the walls, breaking her concentration, bringing forth a moment of peace. Her body feels rejuvenated. Her heart pumps vigorously. Her eyes widen. Her mind focuses. She turns to the sound and is left in shock. Fedir is on his knee, holding up a familiar blue broken band. Now is not the time to worry. Now is the time to end this. The spell is complete. The swords course with a fierce lightning. The static, with great power, radiates off the swords, spiking both their hair like the spires of ice. They separate their swords, winding them back. Gigagash! They cried, driving forth the might of their holy blades. The horizontal wave of electricity, like the mountain cleaver's slash, flying over Isamu and Aziza, cutting through the spires with ease and finding its mark in Zoma, severing his body in half. His spell comes to a stop as his torso crashes to the floor, pooling out with light. He scrapes his black long nails on the stone, laughing maniacally as he crawls.
Do you think you have won?
His laugh grew louder.
You can't kill me. I will consume the life force of your blood.
I won't let history repeat itself, Zoma, Ortega countered, dropping his sword and holding up his hand. The stream from the statues are guided to him, slowly covering him in a bright light.
You fool! What are you doing?
Taking back what belongs to my family.
But you can't. Your mortal body can't withhold that much power. You will kill us all.
Hotaru gasps. Is he speaking the truth? Are we going to die here? Ortega has a warm, gentle smile like when he used to hold her when she was scared. An all-ever-knowing smile. Not quite. With his other hand, a familiar spell is casted upon Fedir and Aziza. Zoom. It grows more opaque, soon swallowing them whole and sending them away. Her mind races, watching as her friends fly off to safety through the cracks in the ceiling. Dad, you can't die here. There must be another way. I wish there was, but I have foreseen these events since my own departure. It scared me like I'm sure you have felt many times. However, knowing it will save my kids makes it easier. Isamu runs over to Ortega, speechless as the light consumes his arms. The castle shakes like an earthquake and loose cobblestone from the ceiling crashes down into the sea of fire. Her eyes brim with tears. Listen to me, Hotaru. You must continue on with no doubts, no hesitation. You have forged bonds, weave thicker than blood. Go to them and live a full, healthy life without fear. I can go with the goddess, with no regrets, knowing you are safe. It has been my only wish. Then let me leave with no regrets as well, she replied, running to him, hugging him tightly, her tears smothering across his breastplate. I love you, Dad. I love you too. He lifts his head, looking at Isamu. His hands are shaking as he holds back tears. Isamu, take care of Hotaru for me. We may not be bound by blood, and I may have not been in key parts of your life. My mother, no. Your grandma raised you to be a fine man who is family. Thank you for being a part of it. I love you, son. He walks over to Ortega, hugging him like Hotaru, together holding them like when they were kids. Though the circumstances are different. No longer they cried over fighting each other or scraping a knee, but Ortega's knowing smile felt very much the same. Of course, Dad. I want to help in any way I can. He chuckles with tears dripping down his cheek. And I love you too. Thank you for accepting me. The blue familiar light of what once was an adventure saddened them. Ortega's face fades as the dome around them thickens. It's quiet in the blue prison, where only the faint light of Ortega and the crashing rocks with Zoma's screams are heard. Soon there is nothing but a bright blue light and a powerful zip echoing through the air. We did it. We completed the hero's journey. Epilogue. It was shining bright on the fields in the warm afternoon sun. Many of the people of Tantajo wandered the open streets to visit the vendors or visit the castle. Tantajo was known for tourists as it was the capital of the world and founding place of the recent legend. Most people spoke highly of the legend. Not a day went by without mention of the legendary hero defeating the Dark Lord and returning peace to the world. All cared, except for Eli. Eli is a teenage boy of 16, spending the pleasantly warm and breezy day in front of the church, tending to the various flowers. He has a small frame, thin enough to squeeze behind tight spaces, and is light on his feet to get around quickly. Most recruited his help for menial tasks as such, the priest being his number one employer. He didn't mind, however. They usually granted him a few coins or whatever leftover meals they had lying around. At the moment, all was fine, but he hoped to explore the world someday and not be relegated to an errand boy till his bones gave out. His peaceful time tending flowers soon came to an end as a stern voice came from the church. "What are you doing, Eli?" The young, lanky boy rises to his feet to see the priest. The priest is a plump man, adorned in a white robe with golden crosses to represent the goddess. Atop his head is a beretta where his thin gray hair recedes in. Eli hides his frustration from him, knowing the lecture he is going to receive, hoping being obedient will lessen his words. He turns his head, eyes on the young budding flowers. "My apologies, Father," he said, his voice battling in tone with his head. What does he want now? This is no time to be taking care of flowers. A valuable guest is here today to tell you the story of the hero's journey. Eli slightly shakes his head. Again, the old minstrel arrives, reading more of the rubbish he calls events. Can I please sit this one out? I promise to clean both sides of the pews. Nonsense, Eli. The dust of the pews can be cleaned whenever, but the stories he tells are once-in-a-lifetime moments. But Father, can you really believe his words? I mean, he talks as if he was there, putting his own input. Don't speak rudely about your elders. He has honored our town with great tales of the journey, and I won't let such slanderous words berate him. Now get in there, or I will have you working till dawn. Eli sighs. No use getting around him. Mindlessly following this old guy like he is a prophet to the goddess. Of course, Father. He sneaks in through the back of the church, quiet, not to disturb his telling. He lightly steps in. Small echoes accompany the old man's speech, but he suddenly stops. The old man's voice is calm like the nearby lake. I'm glad for you to join us, young man. We were just at the end. Young man? He isn't talking to me, is he? Eli thought. Sure, the floors are a bit creaky, but how did he know who I was? He peeks around the corner to where the pedestal is to find him at the head of the church, face deep in a large book. He wears a large hood to cover his face, and he sits still like a statue. While he expresses no emotion, the dozens of civilians sitting at the pews have a glare that can pierce through steel. like beasts watching slow-witted prey enter their den. He quietly steps over to the closest pew on the right side, taking a seat slowly to avoid any more sounds, merely a couple feet away from the old man. From the front, his mouth is barely visible, and other than the muted cloak and book, at his waist is a bright pink lyre. With a slight head tilt, the old man acknowledges Eli. Though his face is hidden, he has a relaxed air about him. From his peeking lips, he's not upset at the disturbance, rather understanding of Eli's nervousness. He peeks over at the book, ready to continue the story. Now, where was I? Oh, I remember. He coughs to clear his voice, presenting the story like a grand tale. And so Hotaru the hero was sent to the outside of Zoma's crumbling castle, thanks to the ancient spell, Zoom, her father cast before his great sacrifice. Soon she teleported with her brother outside on Zoma's plains to find the sky closing. However, eternal darkness wasn't what greeted them as Alfgard's people came to believe, but instead a star, lighting the world since the last millennium. The hero and her friends were brought to this very town to be awarded by its people a title, the title of Erdrick, hero of the dwelling land. With the dark world permanently sealed and with no way home for our heroes, they found new life in Alfgard. The wandering martial artist Isamu settled in the fortified city of Cantiln, aiding the researchers in their studies to create the golems that now guard the city, and training young warriors in his craft to have the lessons of his mentor live on through them. And though he has long passed, his teaching has continued to flourish as his style of battle is Cantiln's standard. Aziza, who would come to be known as the legendary mercenary, aided the world in rebuilding and clearing the roads of any dwelling monsters still under Zoma's banner. There wasn't a task or odd job she couldn't handle, though she was never afraid to call onto her friends for help. Her biggest mission in history is clearing the remains of Zoma's castle, wiping away any monsters and returning the isolated land back to nature. Vidir would be called by many the brilliant sage, even if he wasn't too keen on the name. He studied the new world, learning more of the goddess and of the ancient fairies who once roamed the land. He spent most of his years in the town of Kol, where it was said the fairies lived in peace. He never did learn much of them or the full understanding of his power. The old man hesitates, leaning harder into his book. Must be an old tome, Eli thought. The words are probably faded by now, or he is making the stuff up as he goes. Finally, Hotaru the hero aided the town in rebuilding Tantagel back to its former glory. Once complete, she settled down, bearing a few children before wandering aimlessly throughout the world. They say at the time she was reminiscing her father's words, leaving old relics behind to live in peace, escaping the hero's life she was given. He closes the book and sets it on the pedestal. Eli shakes his head, spreading his arms in confusion. That's it? The hero found life to be too hard and just gave up? Eli! The pudgy priest shouted, stomping over to the front pews. Eli turned around to the back of the church, and as they met, his eyes burned with rage. He knew the priest would never strike him, but the way he approached, Eli was unsure. However, halfway up the passageway and the minstrel spoke again. Their eyes didn't meet, but the calming voice of his soothed the furious priest like a magic spell. Please, Father, do not get mad at this child. It is only natural to be upset by an ending as such. The priest stops in his tracks, his lips quivering as the eyes of Tantagel's civilians pierce into him. My apologies, sir. The minstrel tilts his head over to Eli, his hood covering his face where only his gentle smile peeks out. What I like about stories is how everyone has their own interpretation to them, as everyone has experienced life ever so slightly. You may find the hero's departure frustrating and nonsensical, while I believe it to be different. Knowing that the hero has left her own world behind, watched as her grandmother and father have fallen before her, all at a youthful age. The stress of it all got to her. Most people would shut down after such hard trials, as their losses never truly fade. I know I would. But if you want to hear a secret not in the many retellings, she took her husband and kids to live a normal life. Where? That is when the secret ends. He steps up from the stool he's been sitting on. Excuse me, everyone. I'm going to get some fresh air. I will gladly answer all your questions when I get back. The minstrel steps past the priest and makes for the door to the outside. Its bright light shines in like a gateway to the heavens. The people are quite upset at the circumstances. Most of their faces are disappointed by his departure, either upset at Eli's rude outburst, worrying of angering the minstrel to the point of no return. Most murmur over each other about the new details he revealed. The hero went to live outside the city? Where could she have gone? They said, getting louder by the second. The people leave the main hall of the church, entering one of the many side rooms where old tomes and artifacts are in place. While not straight from the minstrel, it seems to give them a quick fix over their obsession. Eli ponders in the lone main hall, trying to decipher his words like a new language. Again, the way he speaks makes him sound confident in his assumptions. How does he know the hero left Tantagel, or even the feeling she had? It doesn't make sense. However, the answer he seeks lies in front of him. The book. The minstrel's thick, brown-covered book remains on the pedestal like a holy artifact. His mind is racing as he peeks around. If the priest finds him, there is no telling the punishment he may receive, but guessing from today already, the church was going to be spotless like the first day it was built, whether he liked it or not. He lifts from the pews, standing at the head of the church, looking down at the empty seats. He feels a strange power from his view. No wonder Father likes standing up here. He takes a glance at the blank cover, not a single word at the front or back, as if it was a trap to capture thieves. Regardless of his gut feeling, he turns open the book and is left in shock. What is found is nothing like the old minstrel has said. Instead, what Eli was thinking. The book, each page, was completely blank. Eli follows the beautiful melody out of town. With the peaceful song and the open fields outside of Tantagel, it was like walking through a children's fable. The tall grass sparkles a healthy green in the warm sun. The nearby lake is a clear blue, where fish are seen swimming near the surface. Along the horizon are large and vast mountain ranges, where stories of other towns lie. Eli has always loved and respected nature. Sadly, he has spent his life in only Tantagel, but one thing he agrees with when it comes to the minstrel is how vast and unique Alfgard is. Somewhere deep in these lands lies a town of fairies, a fortress of golems. Unfortunately, from his stories, the Dark World was a place of beauty with large cities bigger than the capital, full of thick forests, open plains and farmlands, endless fields of sand and snow. Eli deeply wants to believe in the minstrel's words as everyone does, but the ideas are too outlandish. They had to have been fabricated. He reaches the minstrel, who stands at the center of a field of yellow flowers, playing his lyre. Eli is absorbed in the beautiful meadow of flowers and relaxing music, but like last time the minstrel stops, acknowledging Eli. Have you come to appreciate the scenery, or perhaps you wish to discuss more on the matter? His calm voice works its magic once more. Eli stormed out of the church with the accusations in hand of the lies the minstrel told, but now he was getting cold feet. His words leave his lips like a whisper, afraid of disturbing the old man. He worried that maybe fighting with people was all too common with the old man, and he stayed in nature to avoid the fury of people. At least, that was what Eli did. Have you been playing for a long time? You are very good. I have been playing for a while now, though I am more familiar with the flute. I picked this thing up years ago. I appreciate your words. I'm sure my father would be proud of the practice I've been putting in. Your father was a minstrel? He was. He used this lyre to woo my mother. They had a lot of differences, but they made it work. His music cheered up many people, It's all I have now to remember him. A shame the thing doesn't work anymore. Eli tilts his head and squints his eyes as he sees the man fiddling with the strings. The minstrel is looking away from Eli, out into the isolated mountains of the lake. It seems something disturbs you, the old man said, keeping his body still. The truth weighs on Eli like guilt. Now was a better time than ever to reveal it, before the priest found out. I looked into your book. A surprising chuckle echoes in the field. That explains your confusion. A dear friend of mine suggested the idea. He said with my lack of sight, I wouldn't be able to read anyways, so it would be best to have someone else do it while I gave my perspective. I wish I could see his face now. He probably wouldn't believe I actually went through with his dumb plan. So what you're saying is made up? Far from it. They come straight from memory. I don't understand. Who are you? He lifts the hood and Eli chokes on his breath. While the front of his face is away, he can see his patchy white skin and old severe burns on his exposed cheek and neck. However, what stood out the most was his long dark green hair. It flowed down to his back when he fixed it, but it looked heavily damaged, as if it was strangled of life. You're a fairy? I prefer to say, was. Other than my senses, I carry no magic, lesser than human, as Zoma put it. Zoma said that? Wait. His mind clicked like a puzzle falling into place. The empty book now made sense. You're Fidir, the brilliant sage. As I said, I don't like to be called that name. Most of my wisdom comes from my age. But that means everything you said was true. The Dark World, exploring the pyramid, or how you wandered the tundra. Everything you said was real. Fidir chuckles again. It's been a long time since I heard someone get excited over something so small. But keep your praises. I am a simple minstrel now, telling personal stories of this old man's journey. But your stories are amazing. You spoke of how much you have suffered through the hero's journey. You became a fairy which separated your friends. You lost your sight and ended up alone in an unknown land. However, you kept going. You're an inspiration. I should be apologizing to you for disregarding your tales. Someone I follow once told me something along the same lines. I should have known from the start her wisdom would be right. And you needn't apologize. Having skepticism keeps the mind growing and understanding. A bright light consumes Fidir's hand. He raises his arm to his face. It seems my time has come to an end. No longer must I wander the world. What do you mean? Fidir ignores his question. His tone grows serious. Eli, was it? Listen carefully to what I am about to say. A darkness looms on the horizon. A darkness? You mean Zoma? His heart races. His mind shuffles. The peace of the fields no longer comforted him. No, Zoma will never return. This is something different. A villain taking his stead. In the world, darkness will always accompany light. That is the balance of life. When darkness arrives, so will light. A hero born of Erdrick will take the mantle against evil, such as when Hotaru did. Then what are we to do? The blinding light travels up to his arm and the lyre drops to the soft soil. Keep our stories alive. Keep hope alive. The arriving times will bring harsh trials, but its people will grow strong. So that's it then. You want us to tell stories? And how do you expect me to do that? You already know that answer, Eli. It doesn't take a fairy to hear your heart cry out for adventure. The world is your oyster. He looks up in the sky. 200 years I have waited to see you all again. It's time to reunite with my family. I'm coming home. The light wraps around his torso, traveling to his legs and head. Eli walks over to the light and reaches out, but he disappears to the heavens before stepping onto his original spot. Nothing is left in place other than the lyre. Eli! The priest shouted from behind. His stomps close in at an alarming rate. Have you seen the minstrel? The people are high-strung and can't wait any longer. Eli reaches down to the lyre. Its touch is cozy like a winter campfire. He holds it close to his chest, looking up at the blue welcoming sky. He went back home. he answered. Newfound purpose in hand, the world awaited him.